We survived Glass Hell. We defeated the leader of Team Meteor. We won the second-to-last badge. Now, there is only one more city in this region to reach. There are no side quests to delay the story this time. We return to Calcinon, where several of our friends still wait for a way to infiltrate Labradora City. Two of them are Noel and Radimus, the older of whom tells us something that, after this whole mid-game of missing characters, could give you pause. Anna is not around again. Radimus relates that she went off in a hurry to do something by herself, leaving Noel with his father. Noel, though, is not that enthusiastic about this, saying how until now Radimus only focused on Anna, ignoring him. Radimus tries to assure that he does not favor one child over the other, but Noel points out bluntly that Radimus has only talked to Noel when Anna isn't around, which brings Radimus's wit to a halt. Down the street, Charlotte says that everything is still boring around here, especially since they now learned from Eve that Clawitzer will not power back up. She mentions too how the two Sajayas went off to obtain and train teams. Outside that apartment, a different friend has joined us, Julia, who says she ditched her two mopey friends at Fiore to help fight Meteor. No one is in the lobby right now, but there's that TV. Let's see what's... Oh, right. Gardevoir is... As for DJ Arclight, it appears he never made a final expose on the only gym leader remaining in the region. At this moment, the news has come to an end. There is only one more person to speak to in Calcinon, Hardy, which upon doing so will kick off one of the most plot and character-intensive sections of this entire game. After telling him we're totally ready to kick Team Meteor's ass, our only chance to take Labrador City arrives. Not fully of his own volition. Bennett is dragged towards the barrier by Saphira, whose vitriol is going to be sky high this episode. On her shoulder is an unconscious Zero, and behind her is Laura. Despite Bennett saying he is willing to cooperate and Laura pleading with her eldest sister to listen to him, Saphira is on a warpath. She grabs Bennett more roughly now and tells him to start talking, as Bennett tells her that she isn't listening to what he's already said. Firstly, about leaving Team Meteor. He tells Saphira that he doesn't care what she would do to Zero, giving a pretty witless remark that she'd do better forcing information out of Laura. Saphira hits him, warning him against thinking she would hurt her own sisters. When Bennett questions Saphira's discretion and takes another hit, Laura finally jumps between them. Saphira backs off, but tells Laura that her ideas of mercy won't keep her safe from the enemy. But the Elite Four Belrose responds that it is naive to think that they shouldn't believe in some people. Saphira's singleness of mind, of course, is centered on Sigmund. And when Laura says that despite his evil ways, he could change too, Saphira flies into a panicked rage. When it is over, Laura tells everyone that, in previous times when Saphira has frenzied like this, she proceeded not to speak for some time. We're doing the Heather thing again? She gives her apologies to Bennett and takes Saphira elsewhere. At the same time, two other sisters arrive, the Sajaya sisters, who then see Zero. Bennett tells Lumi that he is only asleep, forced to make him so to prevent him from reaching Labradora. When Eve asks Bennett if he truly intends to run from Meteor, he affirms this, despite the widespread distrust. To this end, he makes an offer. He is still authorized to pass through the barrier before us, and says he will do so with Zero to make it seem like he saved him from us. Once inside, he will power down the Pulse Mime to remove the barrier entirely. Eve makes it clear this is the only way that the barrier can be permeated and disabled, and Bennett adds that this will only work while Zero is still asleep. Hopefully he got max rounds then. Hardy is skeptical of Bennett naturally, to which Bennett cannot say anything to assuage his concerns, but Hardy defers to our judgment on this, which will change a lot of relationship point scores. At this point, Lumi asks something odd of her sister. Does she miss the way they were with Zero? Despite the terrible nature of it all, Eve is unsure, and Lumi says she does miss him, to which Eve, says it makes no sense at all. She understands completely. So, by the way, Cal is here, who who says he has a message for Shelly from Heather. But she's still helping others bring in meteor grunts in Reborn City. Lumi laughs nervously how the majority of the people standing here were on Team Meteor at one point, though Cal says he's hasn't seen any of them before. And now Victoria is here. Well, the nervousness level is starting to rise. You can imagine how this starts. Victoria's anger starts to boil as she says she came up to get away from the mountains of paperwork, a lot of which comes from running Apophil Academy. Cal knows he's got so little chance here, but explains he was not going to let Apophil go. Victoria's sarcastic rage continues to rise as she points out his bringing the pulse to Meteor and killing Kiki's Metacham. But Cal then reveals that he sabotaged the pulse. Victoria is already on her way to disregarding that when Eve steps in to back up that claim. Though introducing yourself to someone as volatile as Victoria as the person who created the pulses, maybe that wasn't the best move. Eve still goes on to explain that the pulse Camerupt on Pyrus was clearly sabotaged by having its coolant system removed. The heat buildup would not allow the pulse to reach the critical levels it needed to destroy the island. As for the Pokemon in that pulse, Cal then reveals he has it. Though Victoria seems to barely accept this as true, she still appears to want to rip Cal to shreds, mentioning Kiki's Metacham again. Apparently, though this is some real-world bullshit, when Cal drained the coolant off from the Camerupt pulse, he dumped it into the lava of the volcano. Instead of, hardening the molten rock or doing nothing, it lowered the temperature of the lava. Yep, sure. What this did, Cal claims, was allow the Metacham to survive long enough to allow Cal to return after the others left and retrieve it. Victoria, despite her initial anger, instead wishes to be alone now. Bennett wonders if raiding Labradora is now the best idea. Cal says that, besides allowing him to find Blake, he will join our group in order to watch over Victoria, who is surely going to pursue Solaris if she goes in there. We decide that we will go on with the plan still, though Bennett says time is limited by Zero remaining asleep. Nah, time moves when I say so. Now the other characters disperse throughout the city. Talking to all of them again can yield more relationship points and backstory. Lumi tells us that, though Zero wants to return to Meteor, that if we fight him again, please don't hurt him. Talking with Cal has him explain better what he tried to say when we bumped into him in Obsidia in episode 8. At the time, he couldn't vouch for the health of the two Pokemon that he showed alive today. Camerupt had an unbreaking fever and Metacham had just spent several minutes in a bath of less hot lava. He doesn't know if Victoria will forgive him, but knows that it will take way more for either of them to forgive themselves. Julia adds some comic relief to this otherwise drama-filled scene. If you want more drama, then go into that apartment again to find the Bell Roses. Saphira's anger has made her believe her own sisters have betrayed her, to which Laura believes she means about giving Bennett a second chance. Saphira says she doesn't care about him anymore. Her mind is occupied in total by one man, Sigmund. She talks without direction, her psyche obviously very damaged, but is held together by one single fact. She will not forgive the doctor. Saphira says that it is impossible for him to change, and she will take his power and everything from him. Laura, though, questions if they must use violence. Saphira says that trying not to use violence to stem the violence is why the cycle of abuse continues. Laura says she is grateful to Saphira, but is against her pushing the same opinion on all of us, including me. Hey, I just walked in here like a good RPG player, don't involve me. Too late. Charlotte asks if it's fine to use violence against abusers. Well, once again, answering yes or no will tug-of-war the relationship scores between the oldest two sisters. But did you know? There's a third answer. Hitting the cancel button. That gives a point to Charlotte. But regardless of this, Saphira says she does not need our approval, and tells them to stay out of this anyway. She'll handle everything like she always has. On the east side of the city, you can find Victoria. She says that she almost cannot bear the idea that she may believe, even forgive Cal for what happened, because that would put the blame on her for Kiki's death. The last person you should talk to in the city is Bennett, who is the trigger for this entire plan. When you give him the go-ahead, He lifts Zero off the ground and, doing what we cannot, steps through the barrier into Labradora. Some time passes, which has us and all of our allies here in Chalcedon waiting for the barrier to dissipate. Lumi wonders if something happened, but Saphira coldly says that this is not unexpected, calling Bennett a liar after all. Laura tries to stick up for him, but Saphira sees no other world than one in which everyone besides her will try to hurt her and her sisters. She's the only one Laura can rely on. Everyone else is not to be trusted. This then gets Radamus to interject if Saphira has always been like this. She says yes, once she understood the world. When Radamus asks about before she understood, she calls her younger self naive. To this, Radamus asks why others couldn't change if she could, as she said. She assumes strongly that Radamus has lived a life of fairy tales, but Radamus offers that the best moves require trust, and also patience. The Labradora Wall has finally fallen. Into the final city, all of our allies walk, all for their own reasons. Some are looking for revenge, others, justice, maybe one and the same. But me? I'm looking for answers. Conclusion. This scene's dramatic appeal is very evident, and that has so much to do with the music that Ame used for it, Glitch City's remix of the Ultra Necrozma battle. However, you need to understand something about this scene, about me. Chalcedon City and this barrier first came into existence after you beat Samson, which originally happened in episode 13. I started playing this game in episode 14. This wall has been standing in front of me the entire time I've played this game, and now it's gone. I've been waiting for this scene for 8 years. Have you ever had to wait 8 years to beat a game? Can you imagine what I felt like to be finally seeing what lies beyond? For years my mind would invent what happens next, what the story would be, what the reasons were for playing this game. I fought through this game 3 times, beat every horrible challenge, all more than once. I suffered, I conquered, I survived, and now the reward has arrived. Everything beyond this point was new territory, the answers I had wanted. There would be much more suffering to come, this I knew. But I had waited this long. Nothing in any world was going to stop me from seeing the end. I would surmount the challenges like I had already. The conclusion I want is waiting, and we take our first steps into the future, into episode 19, up this very tall staircase into Labradora City. The city has already erupted into chaos. Massive battles and destruction are being wrought in the streets, which we'll find will greatly hamper our movements. All we can do in the north is use the Pokemon Center, by an awfully snarky scientist who was made to run the center after Nurse Joy fled. As for progress, you'll have to go south, and that's when you'll have to fight the strongest trainer you've yet faced, Keenan. Who the hell is Keenan? This guy. What? The Meteor Grunt? That's Meteor Ace, and for once, that rank is fully justified. Yes, I am turning on my reset counter for a character who barely has a name, because he is going to kick my ass. How could he possibly? Pulse 2. Keenan has 5 Pokemon, but they are all in Pulse 2s. The first one is Leavanny, to which I send out Aerodactyl. I don't have any flying move on him right now, so instead I go for single weakness using Rock Slide, which doesn't kill but gets a flinch from the Leavanny. The second attack takes it out, and next is Golem. I was strongly expecting it to be Alolan, but it is Cantonian. I had sent out camera up to hit the Alolan type for quad damage, but instead, Golem outspeeds my camel to one-shot him with Earthquake. I wish I had Greninja, but I'll have to use Slowbro instead. I get annoyed when she flinches to the Golem's first Rock Slide, but she lives through the next Earthquake to surf it. As you'd guess, it has Sturdy, but instead of just using Earthquake again, it instead explodes, so the field is wiped. I go back to Aerodactyl, but am treated to another Pokemon I wish I had a flying move for. Machamp. This time I have no super effective moves, so I go for Iron Head to try a flinch, but don't get it. Instead, the no-guarding Machamp dynamic punches him, then follows with a Bullet Punch to fell my Aerodactyl. Boy, this is bad. The only thing that could stop Machamp is Mawile, but she's not resistant to fighting. Thankfully, she survives a dynamic punch and avoids hitting herself off the guaranteed confusion to roughly play with the Machamp to death. That's when we get another Volcarona, when I have these Pokemon left. My only real chance is Houndoom, but I should have just gone for Destiny Bond. It moved first with a Quiver Dance, as Houndoom unleashed Black Hole Eclipse. It does a third. It Bug Buzzes him out afterwards. Mawile is definitely poorly matched against it, and her Sucker Punch doesn't kill it. It Giga Drains her meager remaining health, and Vanillux, well, he takes a Fire Blast from a boosted Pulse-2'd Volcarona. Yeah, that's Keenan. This is the first opponent of episode 19, of the rest of the game, and he does that to you. Safe to say, this may make you very worried what's yet to come. The next attempt I find out something very bad. I put Aerial Ace on Aerodactyl for the one-shot on Leavanny. Yeah, there's no one-shot. It has a Focus Sash. Worse, it uses Sticky Web. That's horrible! Leavanny can't do anything else, but the Golem afterwards makes Slowbro flinch 2 times with Rock Slide and kills with Earthquake. Beautiful. Aerodactyl can only take 50% from the Golem with Iron Head before dying, and Vanillux nearly dies to another Rock Slide before taking it down with Blizzard. By the way, that Volcarona is back and my Rock Mega Evolution is fainted again. My only chance is Camerup's Rock Slide, which gets really close while it Quiver Danced. What's good is that though it ate a Wiki Berry for 50% HP back and Giga Drains some HP off of Camerupt, his next Rock Slide still crushes it. That leads into Machamp, who gets to have a free kill against Houndoom thanks to Sticky Web, then dies to Mawile's Play Rough from full HP. But Keenan's last Pokemon is Perugly, who gets to finish off my beaten up team with Fake Out, Sucker Punch, and Frustration. I surely am feeling that. Leavanny hampers me the same way as last time. Slowbro only gets hit by Earthquake before Trick Rooming into Surf to bring Golem to 1. However, it eats a Custap Berry to then explode first anyway. Camerupt has to fight Machamp next, doing nearly nothing with Earth Power before getting punched dynamically once. Aerodactyl also takes a punch and falls to his own self-damage. Houndoom puts an end to it by Destiny Bonding it, basically leaving me no way to defeat the Volcarona, though Vanillux gave it a really good try. Attempt 4 on minor character Keenan starts the same as the first one, where I used Rock Slide first instead and it flinched. Golem and Slowbro have a similar exchange, ending in a double KO with Trick Room up. Houndoom, however, cannot Destiny Bond Machamp first, which requires Mawile to come out and use Play Rough. Machamp decides to live on a scrap of health and punch her back, so she has to dodge the Confuse chance on her Sucker Punch. Keenan holds out on his Volcarona since he knows my Aerodactyl is alive, and sends Perugly. With no fighting type, I use Vanillux to batter it by 2/3 before he faints, fail to kill with Mawile's Sucker Punch, then have Camerupt barely survive a Frustration to then watch it tire itself out thanks to Life Orb. All that's left is Volcarona, who is outsped by Aerodactyl and one-shot with Rock Slide. Even your Pulse 2 doesn't save you from rocks, Volcarona. That was painful. You don't expect a brick wall this soon, but Keenan will surely stop you. Throughout this city are more Meteor Aces that all have Pulse 2s just the same. Now, I'm not going to commentate any more of them, as it would be pretty redundant. I just wanted to show the Keenan fight because of his infamy in the Reborn player base, and to give an idea of how incredibly unfair Pulse 2 really is. Just behind Keenan is a building you can enter, which contains a console asking for a 4-digit code. Nothing has appeared yet that would clue you in, so continue on. After taking out another ace, we then see Saphira mounted on her Dragonite. In front of her is Lyn. Lyn, unlike the final gym leader, is not mounted up on her own pseudo-legendary. Saphira declares this encounter will not be the same as last time, but Lyn belittles her and asks if she forgot. At that moment, a huge beam of light suddenly strikes, just barely missing Saphira. But even though she acts confident that she can deal with it, Lyn shatters that immediately. How did this woman, without a Pokemon, just KO a Dragonite? Lyn then further mocks Saphira, saying all she ever did was cry for help, to get no answer. Until now. Lyn is forced away from Saphira by Shelly and her Yanmega. Shelly moves to Saphira to help her, but tells the gym leader 15 spots her senior to learn her name. Holy fucking shit! Suddenly Shelly is badass, as Saphira gets off the ground and thanks her. Running in after her is the last survivor of Glass Hell not already in this city, Sarah, along with Florinia. Shelly assures Saphira that they will help her deal with Lyn. The cold woman then starts repeating those same lines she spoke to us at Devon. But our allies here give her comebacks to each one. Meanwhile, Sarah notices us and says the unfortunate reality is, they probably can't beat her. However, the most important thing they can do is stall her while I go and destroy the Pulse Clawitzer. Sarah now blocks the way to watching the Shonen fight happening just off screen. If you try to head west along the southern alleyway, you'll be further blockaded by Charlotte battling a grunt. Nearby is another building you can enter, inside which are 2 more aces. You may become worried when they both engage you at once, but you get help. Victoria enters the room, and you begin a doubles fight with her. This one took me 4 attempts to fell their combined force of 10. Tyranitar, Luminion, Mudsdale, Chandelure, Mamoswine, Golisopod, Exadrill, Minior, Vikavolt, and Gothitelle. When we finally defeat them, one of them explains their reason for being here. They were guarding one of their own. When Victoria walks in further to see who they mean, she beckons us to come see this. In the back, in a dimly lit room, out of a torture scene, is Taka. When we enter the room, we find out that he is alive, but now has been robbed of an eye. What the hell is wrong with Meteor? What is it with taking eyes? Taka gains consciousness and manages to stand, seeing us, and saying this is what he meant about betraying Meteor back at the water treatment plants. When Taka realizes who Victoria is, he begins to apologize for Apophil too, but she stops him, saying she's tired of apologies for that and people having betrayed Meteor. Taka says that this has happened to him because he was deemed too much of a risk to kick out and too important to kill. Victoria decides to offer him help to get out of here, which Taka is surprised about, but in the end, he declines. He has something more to do in Labradora. Victoria leaves, as Taka says he really doesn't have that much more to lose. You can leave the building and head more west now, but if you were to head back to the northeast of the city, you'll find that there's another building now accessible. Head inside, and you'll find Noel here by himself. He tells you that Eve found something, and told Noel to give it to us if he saw us. The Pulse Dex for Clawitzer. With Clawitzer being well established, let's take a look right away. What you see is another staggering stat line. That HP and speed! What's worse is its ability, Contrary. That will bode exceptionally badly, believe me. And yet, it's not even the worst one. Head back to make more progress through the war-torn city. Battle the guard from the glass factory who was frozen by the Glaceon, and take that nearby light shard if you want. The bottom door nearby won't open, but when you attempt to walk up the street to the north, it flies open and Bennett and Laura rush out. Laura runs out terrified of something that was in there. A very appropriate reaction. Bennett says it's okay since it's locked in there, but then Bennett and Laura confront a different foe, Elias. Bennett tries to tell the old man to stand down, but he seems to have no intention of doing so. Elias inquires whether Bennett is going to repay his debts, but Bennett makes it clear he doesn't scare him. He also just casually drops that Luna fell into a black hole. That was not the comeback Elias expected. Bennett then informs him they are leaving, reminding him that his position as an Elite Four member doesn't mean anything to them. After all, they are both elites as well. The two leave Elias to murmur about the loss of his daughter, before he too leaves. There's another door right here you can enter now. As soon as you walk inside, you'll see someone here. It's Sigmund. But when you near him, he flees from the building. So that's your real metal, Sigmund? Also open this box for a peepee up. When you head up the street now, you're going to find something that suddenly came rushing back from my memory. This fight. Oh dear God, this one. Two acolytes are standing across from each other, waiting to pincer attack you. This time, you'll get no ally. You must battle their 8 Pulse 2 Pokemon with only your 6. I really thought this was going to ruin me. I distinctly remember that I was miserably stuck here last time. To my surprise, I beat this in 2 attempts. I was worried about this one because there are some very nasty opponents to deal with. Their entire team was Goodra, Lantern, Drampa, Vaporeon, Sylveon, Jolteon, Florges, and Cacturne. Upon defeating them, you'll see that Cal's battle is blocking a Pokemart to your right, so you have only one more door to enter. You begin to walk through an office, with monitors lighting up as you pass through. You distinctly get the feeling you are being watched. You'll then find yet one more 1-on-2 situation you must overcome, but this one is only unfair because of Pulse 2's not number of Pokemon. You only have to defeat a Zoroark, Trevenant, Grumpig, Uniclus, Vikavolt, and Magnezone. With the defeat of these 2 techies, there are no more underling battles in Labrador City. From this point on, the rest of the fights in this episode are major battles. Now pick up that light shard, believe me, you should. Head up a few more flights of stairs, get one more bad feeling, and before you climb that ladder, save. When you ascend to the roof of this building, you'll find the Pulse Clawitzer, manned by Zero. No sooner did we arrive than we are almost atomized by the Pulse's attack. But then at the worst time, Noel comes out on this roof wondering if we were okay. That's when Zero opens fire on him. Radimus! What the hell did we just see? It looked like Noel's doll Nomos just rose up in front of the beam to absorb the attack. But was that Shade? Noel is confused by what happened, as Radimus tells him that Nomos saved both of them. Obviously, it would seem that not all things are as they seem. Zero gets angry with the fact that the Pulse's shot was stopped by a doll, as 2 more cultists arrive after Radimus and Noel. While the 2 consecutive gym leaders battle them, Radimus asks if we will dispense with the Pulse. The Grunt Zero now faces us for the last time, equipped with the most powerful pulse he's ever used. But that pulse is deep in a party of 6 we must get through first. I lead with Megadactyl, but meet a Spiritomb. I go for Iron Head and didn't select to Mega Evolve. Well, that was stupid, but funnily enough, Spiritomb's foul play didn't kill, whereas it surely would if Megadactyl was Mega. Anyway, Mega Evolving is pointless now as Spiritomb Shadow Sneaks Aerodactyl down. Let's put out Mawile, who has Spiritomb's only weakness, and play rough. Unfortunately, he cuts her off with Will-O-Wisp, so now her attack is halved, very annoying. It takes an extra play rough while it hits me with a foul play. Houndoom is coming next, and seeing that speed while Aerodactyl is fainted, it's time to use Trick Room as soon as possible. Slowbro goes out, and I'm hoping she can survive the dark attack it'll use. Well, she surely can survive a nasty plot, of course, and with Trick Room up, she goes first next turn to Surf. However, though Zero has been reduced to grunt status, his Pokemon are still using Pulse 2s. As such, Surf doesn't kill the damn Hellhound, who ends Slowbro on his follow-up. Speaking of follow-up, Camerupt comes out and Earth powers the Houndoom to clean up. That's when Zero decides to wake up his evolution, Umbreon. Without Heracross, my only attack that hits weakness here is with Mawile, but that burn makes her play roughs extremely weak, and she faints long before Umbreon is tired. Camerupt comes back as Trick Room is ticking down in Earthquakes, but is unable to kill, as a foul play slaps him down into red health as well. With Trick Room still up, it should be a simple matter, but this will be anything but simple. Zero full restores. Ah, fuck, man. Earthquake does only a third, and Camerupt's Life Orb takes him out himself. Vanillix goes out next as my chances are withering, blizzarding for about a quarter while being toxicked. Trick Room is ended, so Umbreon begins going first, but foul play is much worse against Vanillix, who blizzards again to put Umbreon in red health. Please don't heal. Okay, it wished, but it dies to the next hail. Out next is Weavile, and that clinches it. There's nothing I can do to that Weasel with only Vanillix and Houndoom left. Indeed, it outspeeds both of them and knows Brick Break. Bad first impression. And I'm already thinking that Aerodactyl is not the Mega I want here. But I want to try that again to see how much more I can learn. But remember what I said about Megadactyl with foul play? Yeah, he doesn't flinch to Spiritomb and dies to one foul play. I decide that I need Trick Room as soon as possible, so I put Slowbro out now. It can only hit her with Pursuit, so she puts the Trick Room into effect. Sadly, her Surf is very poor against the odd Keystone Pokemon, and eventually falls to more super effective attacks. That's fine though, this time Mawile will come out and avoid being burned, killing the Spiritomb with Play Rough. Houndoom appears again, and Camerupt will meet it with an Earthquake. A Focus Sash, eat my ass! Camerupt loses most of his HP to kill the Houndoom. That leads Zero into his next Pokemon. Honchkrow. What the hell, Zero? Did you see Luna's fight in Glass Hell and think, yeah, I'll do that? Anyway, you know what move Honchkrow used on Mawile first, and she responds with Play Rough to take it out from near full HP. Now Zero's Eevee is back, and Mawile is not burned. She hits one Play Rough for over half, but she can't survive a foul play. Damn it, this isn't going to be it either, especially as Trick Room is over. Vanillix goes out to take another Toxic and Blizzard the Umbreon, which freezes it and it doesn't thaw. But I am so sure that a full restore is practically jumping out of Zero's pocket. Holy shit, he withheld? Failing to thaw, Umbreon goes down to another Blizzard, only for the entire fight to boil down to the same conclusion. Weavile kills everything else. Awful. Well, I definitely need to change Megas, and it's pretty obvious who it should be. Mega Mawile. She's the only thing that is hitting weakness in this fight against everything, and resists Dark. Plus, as a Mega, she doubles her attack, which sounds like the perfect solution to Umbreon. Of course, she's slow, so instead of Aerodactyl up front, we'll start with Slowbro. She uses Trick Room, but gets hit with a crit Pursuit. Slowbro is basically screwed either way, so I try switching but get caught by Pursuit and she faints anyway. Mega Mawile comes in to avenge, and next will be Houndoom. Definitely not leaving her there, we move to Camerupt, but that Focus Sash irritates me. It will eat a turn, and Camerupt is going to take a huge hit instead. Unless maybe he gets a flinch with Rock Slide. He does! Sweet! Now he's nearly full HP and Houndoom is down, as Honchkrow is flying in. Mawile jumps back in, takes the Sucker Punch well, and mashes the bird. Dark EV is next, but then Zero does something very annoying. Protect. Fuck you stalling out the Trick Room. I need it for the Clawitzer! On the follow-up, Mawile crashes into the Umbreon and one-shots it. That's great, but Trick Room is already gone. And we have both Weavile and the Pulse left. I'm really hoping that non-Mega Aerodactyl has enough speed for Weavile, but it doesn't, and even worse, he dies to one knockoff. I know that nothing else stands a chance against Weavile, so it has to be Mawile. Amazingly, she actually tanks Brick Break really well and clobbers the weasel. But what does it matter? At this point, I am way out of contention to win. Because now, Zero has no other Pokemon. He sends out the Pulse Clawitzer. I'm not even sure what I can do here. I leave in Mawile with the intent to Sucker Punch, in case there's some kind of way I can whittle down the mammoth monstrosity before me. Sucker Punch goes and it does a decent third, but then Mawile is blasted with Overheat. And like we learned, Clawitzer's Contrary triggers and gives itself 2 special attack stages. I had pretty much no chance to survive something without those stages, but now it's completely impossible. All I can do is put Houndoom out here and throw Destiny Bond. Holy shit! I'm the winner! I'm the winner! Nonsense. Absolutely fluked to all hell. There has never been a more critical miss. The biggest gift I could have possibly gotten. And yes, the move Houndoom dodge was Fluor Cannon, the signature move of Magearna. I have to take wins like these, because of what's come before, and what's coming next. We've got quite a few historical recaps coming in this episode, and here's the first one. Looks like Trick Room was definitely active thanks to Dusclops, and Heracross was surely crushing everything in her path. I don't know if that's a Mega Heracross, since Camerupt is also there, and I can honestly say I don't know what's on this team that killed Clawitzer, but apparently I did it without needing half of my team. With Labradora's Louder Pulse finally decommissioned, Zero is beaten, his spirit broken. Noel starts to learn meanwhile that Radimus may be more of a father than he realized, which is all Radimus needs. Now, Lumi appears on the roof looking for Zero and asks him if he's been hurt. He says that Meteor took his title from him, and Lynn threatened him with worse if he failed again. Lumi admits she can't not worry about him, and tells Zero that she will lead him to safety. On their way out, though, Radimus asks the former agent about something he overheard. The idea of Arceus growing. That sounds bad. Zero mentions the Arc Pulse, which Lumi then offers up was given a feature to speed up development of a Pokemon into adulthood. After this, everyone vacates this rooftop, and we start heading back too. On the way back through the building, something has changed. Those computer monitors now show numbers, 2, 3, 6, 8, in different colors. As well, 4 monitors near the exit are colored the same 4 cardinal colors we all know. It's time to go grab some goodies. But as you attempt to do so by heading back down that earlier street, you'll instead find 2 people, Taka and Solaris. The son tells his father that he cannot continue doing this, to which the leader of Meteor answers that Taka is simply unwilling. Solaris asks Taka if his idea of leaving is an act of cowardice, or if he had been a coward all along. Taka doesn't follow his father, instead being more direct in saying that he expected him to look out for his own son more. At this, though, Taka backtracks, knowing that all Taka was supposed to do was please his father. He says that was the case from the moment Solaris paid a woman to be Taka's mother. Taka realizes that the reason Solaris must have had to have Taka was to get back at the world, to which Solaris says the world has instead gotten back at them. No, Taka says, just at Solaris. Solaris then bites at Taka for apologizing to the man that he claims did nothing to raise his son, only using him as a tool. If there is anything that Solaris tries to teach Taka, it is to have resolve, including when making enemies. Taka tells him impatiently that he understands, and Solaris barks at him to prove it. No, Taka responds simply, and he leaves. This is acceptable to Solaris. As for him, he knows what duty the captain of a sinking ship has. If we were to go to the right, we can access that shop now, which has little different from other shops in the region. But further to the right, we witness another battle taking place, one without Lynn at the moment. Sarah and Cal restrain Sigmund, but they're not worried about him. They're worried about Saphira. Sarah is trying to talk Saphira down from murdering Sigmund gruesomely, the eldest Belrose seeing red. Sigmund's previous habit of egging on Saphira is completely gone now. He screams for his life, only for Saphira to repeat his words. Those were the kinds of words she used when she begged, that fell on deaf ears. Now, Saphira is hell-bent on making Sigmund bleed for his crimes. Only one problem. Lynn is back. The strongest meteor condescends to Saphira, then strikes her with ruthless power and blinding speed. How does she move like this? What is she attacking with? She exercises complete dominance over Saphira, tossing her across the street ferociously. However, though Lynn stops Saphira, it does not mean Sigmund is safe. Lynn then drags the frightened doctor away, leaving us with an unconscious Saphira. While Cal and Sarah try to help treat Saphira's wounds, Cal tells us that they went down to the southwest. Oh no. That's where... Hey, who wants to do a side quest? Yes? Me too, let's go. Return to that southeastern building with the console, armed with a number. It turns out there are actually 2 codes, and I went and overthought the solution to figure out the harder solution first. The numbers 2368 were color-coded to match the other monitors in that building, which were ordered blue, green, purple, red. The colors of the numbers match with those colors to make the code 3862. That pops open one of the crates to the right, inside of which is a Sylveon. Before we go look at that Sylveon, the console is still waiting for a second code. I had to come back later after realizing that the second code was just entering the numbers as they were on the wall. That nets you another Megastone, Swampertite. That's the Gen 3 starters all armed. There's also something else we can go get, something that is near where we have to go. If you return to the room where we first saw Sigmund cowering, we'll find his key to the orphanage. When you get this, you'll remember exactly what is there for us. Return to Lapis Ward and enter the darkened orphanage. Pass through the absolutely most liminal place you can imagine, ascending the stairs like we did back in episode 5. Eventually, we reach the top to that hellish room where the doctor enacted his treatments. That Megastone we couldn't get back then is ours now. Alakazite. With this, get out of this creepy place and let's go to a PC. Now, about that Sylveon. First, it's shiny. Nice. It also has pretty good stats. Secondly, it's holding a ribbon collar. That happens to be a key item, and on it is written Willow Reed and Crystal, too. If you think what would be written on pet collars, you may realize this is an address. You'd have to scour Reborn City for the location of that address, but I'll tell you something. It's in the ward in which Simon, yes, that Simon, mentioned something about a Sylveon back in episode 3. Yes, this side quest is hinted at that long ago. It blew my mind when I was replaying the game this time to see that allusion. The building you need to go to is this one in Jasper Ward, in which the building attendant will let us up one of these mythical apartments to go to the second floor only. Apartment 2, you say? Oh, look, Farium Z! Oh yeah, apartment 2. Head inside the domicile to... Gardevoir? Well, yes, but actually no. This Gardevoir doesn't speak with its mouth, Meowth style. It instead communicates with its mind like the Gothitelle in the library. She learns directly from our mind, which is pretty standard for me, that we found the Sylveon locked away by itself. She apologizes for looking through our memories, and in return, decides to show us some of hers. The ones that show us the reason why the Sylveon should never come back here. The Gardevoir tells us first that her own trainer gave his daughter a Pokemon as a gift, an Eevee. Its name? Scarborough. The child who inherited this Eevee is named Eddie, as her mother Lottie tells her that she needs to take care of Scarborough well. Eddie doesn't like the name Scarborough, calling it an ugly name, but grabs the Eevee and says she'll take care of it. She tells the Eevee that it must listen to her now, and orders her not to be scared. As time goes on, Eddie, though adoring the Eevee, does not care for it very well. Nor does she care to call it by its original name, now calling it Scarlet, as well as calling the female Eevee a boy. Furthermore, Eddie has already settled on the evolution for the Eevee, Sylveon. The mother, though, is skeptical that her daughter will give the Eevee enough reason to love the young trainer. At another point, though, Gardevoir reveals the Eevee's thoughts itself, as it had watched a show about evolutions. The genetically unstable Pokemon thinks of all the evolutions, loving the idea of being any of them, except Sylveon. But the Eevee thinks that if she became the Sylveon by loving the trainer, she'd get fed and loved in return. Finally, the day comes that Scarborough evolved into Sylveon. To the surprise of the mother, Gardevoir says this should have ended the tale with a happily ever after. But this game loves to rip that expression apart, much like what happened then to Jasper Ward. The sound of whipping vines and collapsing walls portend the destruction we only saw after it was over, wrought by the second pulse Tangrowth. Eddie, Lottie, and the father Barry, who we learn was the fairy-type leader that took over for Adrian, rushed to escape from their apartment and the siege of the ward. However, after Eddie and Barry escape, Lottie is trapped by the vines. She yells for them to escape. Barry tells Eddie that he will go back for her. But Gardevoir tells us the tragic truth. Only Lottie, the mother, survived. Of course, the Sylveon did too, escaping from Meteor for a time before being captured. It is at this point that the still living mother asks who's here. Gardevoir tells us to show the lady the collar, but that we must keep Sylveon. It does not belong here anymore. When we show her the collar, she asks about Scarborough, if she's well. She's happy to hear when we say yes, and gives us something for our trouble. The final department store sticker. Now, all Lottie has to watch over her is her husband's Gardevoir. Meaning, in a way, he still is. Depressing, huh? Let's go fix that by finishing a side quest we started 17 episodes ago. Return to the Obsidia department store and take the elevator up to the top floor, the penthouse. Step out of the elevator into a very differently organized floor. A healing station and PC are set up here, along with vending machines. The lady on the bottom left of the room will offer a spa service to your Pokemon for $5,000. If you use this, it will maximize that Pokemon's friendship. Super nice, especially if I need to retrain friendship evolutions later. As for the vending machine, there's a child here who is spiritually connected to the child from the Celadon department store. They are thirsty, and if you give them the 3 kinds of drinks from the vending machine, you'll get 3 TMs. Blizzard, Thunder, Fire Blast. Power is now in the palm of my hand. Of course, the part you've been waiting for. What does the final floor sell? Very good items. Eviolite for half the price of the circus. Leftovers, life orbs, focus sashes, weakness policies, citrus and lepa berries, EXP shares, and one more thing. The Omni Reset Disc. All EVs gone in an instant. All of this might seem like a fitting enough reward for a game-long side quest, but there's one last person to talk to. This lady, who begrudgingly asks if we want to participate in the Blissy Bonus Challenge. After saying how much she hates her life, she allows us to begin the challenge. That challenge, as she spoiled herself, is against 6 level 100 Blissies. That does not mean it's hard. Quite the contrary. They all use Healing Wish, a move which makes them faint and heal the next Pokemon out. In essence, this is an auto-win fight that gives a ton of experience in its own right, but it's nothing compared to the prize. 20 XL candy, endless free grinding and XP candy. The rare candy is dead. Swim in the ocean of XL candy. Okay. I guess it's time to return to Labradora. Meaning we now have to... Oh God. When you get back, you should head to this building first, just east of the door where Laura and Bennett ran out of. Inside this previously locked building, you'll find Eve. Eve tells us that we are heading down before she was able to compile the data. No, that's fine, I'll wait. I'll wait as long as I possibly can. She can't give us a full description of what we're going to face, but she says it'll be weak to fairy moves. However, it may not take damage from conventional means otherwise. It's unlike anything she's ever seen, muttering that it broke its own machine. I don't want to do this, but I must. Head over to the gaping maw of a door to the left, but as you approach, the last person you'd want this close to you emerges. Lynn. The doctor will see us now, she says, as she saunters off. When you have the nerve, enter, as another screen lights up as we near it, foreshadowing with little subtlety. We climb down a ladder into an immensely dark part of the LCCC. A light shard waits for us at the bottom. You should save that one. Your item finder will direct you to items on the ground of the pitch-black tunnels. If you hug the right wall to go as south as you can in this dark maze, you will come upon an unresponsive console that wants a data chip. Inserting one will make the screen go out. There's another part to this somewhere else. As you step cautiously around every corner, your nerves standing on end, you may go into the northern section of this power plant and find a fairy gem. And another. And another. In this same area, a console is lit up, and interacting with it unlocks the LCCC LC. Having used both consoles opens a previously closed shutter in the south of this facility, which then leads into the more well-lit area that should look familiar. The other half of the LCCC, where Eclipse was taken. One ladder leads up, and lo, the caged Megastone in Calcinon is here. Charizardite Y! But now, heading back into darkness, you will start to make your way northeast. You'll twist left and right as your trepidation grows, your frequency of saving increasing. Eventually, taking one terrified step at a time, you'll see it. The base of a pulse machine. In the waning light, waning like your resolve, you step forward to see the pulse. But it is not the pulse in the machine. It is Sigmund. Are you ready for Meteor's final pulse? The answer is no. A visage of hell itself. There has not been terror in this game like this yet, and it has a lot to do with the music that's playing. Yeah, you all know it's from Lavender Town. The exact track though? Well, forgive me for doing this, but I'm going to withhold that for now. All I'll say is that this is a track from Glitch X City, of course, and it's slowed down. And God, what lower speed does to this song. Standing before you is the most horrifying pulse in the game, Master Mime. Horrifying for both its appearance and its battle strategy. Want to know why this is the worst pulse you've faced? Three words you never, ever want to see together. Entrainment Wonder Guard. The aromatisse standing beside this abomination is defending its original trainer, posthumously. It is probably traumatized as it is given Wonder Guard. Now the fairy type will be immune to all attacks besides its weaknesses, which for me is only steel attacks. And yes, that of course means Master Mime has Wonder Guard itself. Fairy isn't just its greatest weakness, that's it. It has shed both of its original types to become Dark Ghost, like Spiritomb. For that reason, Mega Mawile here is the only one who can directly damage it, as it runs in with Play Rough. And that is why Pulse Mime is the worst pulse. A Mega Mawile just used Play Rough to hit weakness, and it did a third. Meanwhile, Houndoom is here just begging for death so that he can bring something down with him, as Aromatisse now attacks with Dazzling Gleam. I hoped it would kill Houndoom, but not quite. Oh, by the way, Master Mime has leftovers. I can only hope that I can kill the Mime with Play Rough if given enough time. While I'm foolishly targeting Aromatisse with Black Hole Eclipse because I think it's psychic. But then Mime both horrifies and helps. It uses Instruct on Aromatisse to make it use Dazzling Gleam now, and it kills Houndoom. But that's actually helpful, as his Destiny Bond was still active, so the fairy type dies. Mega Wile, though, still needs one more hit to bring down the Demented Pulse. But then Sigmund's puppeteered body sends out his ace, Electivire, and after Mime trains the electric type to fear only its single weakness, the Electivire then uses Earthquake and Mawile is killed. The fight is over. There's nothing more I can do against this nightmare. Destiny Bond or Mawile are my only choices currently. It's time to reset and hear this thing's horrible cry over and over again. I put Slowbro up front to start using Trick Room, but Aromatisse now targets Mawile only with Flash Cannon, which does nearly half. Trick Room goes up, but this is actually bad right now. The Aromatisse went after Mawile, which means it'll go first now. Also, Slowbro has no moves to use. She can't hit either of them. For that, I try to bail her out for Houndoom. Now Instruct's horrible purpose is revealed, as Aromatisse brings Mawile to red, and then Mime instructs its ally, and Mawile is attacked again and beaten. At this point, my chance is pretty much gone again. The only thing I can hope to do, which is possible, is to use Houndoom to Destiny Bond the Pulse. The Pulse is very averse to attacking directly though, and besides, Aerodactyl was beaten by the Aromatisse, so now it can no longer be defeated either. It's time to dig into the TM pouch and pull out the most important move against Pulse Mr. Mime. Toxic. I teach it to Slowbro, then subject myself to more horror. Then a very aggravating turn of events happens. Mawile's Play Rough on the first turn missed. For the next 3 attempts! You can't convince me otherwise. Between the Houndoom Quick Claw luck against the Bixbyzian Medicham and this, there's seeding in the RNG. There's no point in allowing the first turn to be a whiff. I reset each time it happens. On attempt 6, when I actually hit Mime again, I then follow the first Play Rough with Toxic from Slowbro. Mime is in deep red when Mawile goes down, but then I go and waste time with Houndoom using a dark move on the Aromatisse, thus learning its type. I also Toxic the Fairy since Slowbro has no other moves, and Houndoom is taken down. When Aerodactyl comes out into a Trick Room and is immediately one-shot by Aromatisse, the fight is over again. I won't live long enough to poison down both opponents. I then put Aerodactyl up front to start Iron Headbutting the Aromatisse instead of Trick Rooming, since Mawile is faster than the Fairy, but I have to throw away 2 more attempts since Playrough missed again. It's 90% accurate, by the way. On attempt 9, when Playrough cooperates, Ironhead takes half of Aromatisse's HP, but she pays back the Fossil Flyer with a Flash Cannon to one-shot him. Just great. I was annoyed that I didn't give Toxic to anyone else, and I bring in Slowbro. I don't Trick Room yet, and just go for Toxic on Mime right away, and Mawile turns and kills the Aromatisse with Iron Head. The problem is, this will coax out another terrified Pokemon from Sigmund, who will also be entrained with Wonder Guard. That Pokemon is a Alolan Raichu, who also pops a seed to levitate. Oh no. You see the horrors that Wonder Guard can bring when something other than Shedinja uses it? I'm not using Trick Room for some reason here, instead going for Toxic on Raichu, but Raichu obviously goes first and discharges. Though it does not kill my side, as Mime trains the Raichu, both of my Pokemon miss their moves. Let me out of this hellish prison. I'm going in circles, as I put Slowbro back up front with Mawile. I decide to crush the Aromatisse with Iron Head immediately, taking no damage as Trick Room begins. Another poor Pokemon from Sigmund tries to see what's wrong, Refrigerator Rotom. I decide to slam that thing with Iron Head as well, and even though it was not weak to it, it still dies, as Mime is badly poisoned. Good thing too, as Mime's entrainment will now whiff. What? Mawile now has Wonder Guard. I wonder how far this can bring me, but then the worst Pokemon to see as a Trick Roomer shows up. Drampa. That fucking dragon. There's barely anything viable that's slower than it. I want to kill it too with Play Rough, hoping it can't hit Mawile with weakness. Sadly, it can. It uses Trick Room best and blasts her with Heat Wave, knocking her out. The attempt is now in extreme doubt. For some asinine reason, I brought out Camerupt next. He has no use here. As for Slowbro, all she can try to do is Toxic Drampa again. She fails again. Drampa hyper voices, then Mime tells it to repeat. Now that my only source of Toxic is dead, the only thing that can be done to win is use Vanillux on Drampa. Houndoom comes out too to Destiny Bond if possible, since that's all he can do. But Drampa's Surf gets him first. Vanillux manages to survive and go before Mime to Blizzard the Dragon down, Mime having nothing to instruct now. Toxic takes a big bite out of the Pulse, but I probably need 2 more turns. As for me, I only have Aerodactyl left, and Trick Room is still here. Sigmund's lifeless body sends out Alakazam for the first time. Not all hope is lost if it gets Wonder Guard, as Aerodactyl has Crunch. As for Vanillux, I think that he has no option, but he does. Taunt. But then this battle gets even worse. That's a Mega Alakazam. Did I really beat this game? How? Of this field though, Vanillux is the slowest, so with the flickering Trick Room, Taunt hits the Mime. That takes out at least 2 of its moves, including the one it was definitely going to use this turn, Entrainment. But then, in an unbelievable turn, Aerodactyl non-Mega is slower than Mega Alakazam, hits it with Crunch, and knocks him out! Wait, is this actually still possible? The Mime nearly keels over from Toxic. 1 more turn is all it gets, but the next Pokemon out is that horrible Electivire. I don't know what I can do. I can't kill it, and Aerodactyl will probably go later than Electivire. Freeze Dry and freeze it, that's the only way I— Oh my god! It stayed frozen! Vanillux didn't die to Nightshade! Mime is dead. Freeze Dry takes out the Electivire! But Trick Room runs out, and Alolan Raichu appears. I have Crunch, but Raichu goes first with Discharge. No way. Aerodactyl fucking lives! I can't fucking believe it. This was the most unbelievable fight I've ever done. What just happened defies logic. It is absolutely impossible that this will ever happen again. Electivire froze and lost its turn. Short Circuit Field nerfs Raichu's attack exactly when it hit Aerodactyl. How many other insane things happened in that attempt? But it's over. Thank God it's over. The final active pulse is destroyed, and the Pulse Project now only exists in our nightmares. When I last beat this horrible monster, I did so using the same team as Clawitzer, but with Houndoom instead of Camerupt. It's easy to see that I probably did not have fairy moves, and I know I didn't use Toxic either. So how the hell did I kill the mime? I Destiny Bonded it. Seriously, the resets were disgusting on this one, because it required getting Aromatisse to shoot Houndoom first, and mime would kill him with Nightshade. It happened so infrequently, but if it did, then the rest of the fight is a 1-on-2 against Sigmund's orphan team. I feared this fight as I approached it again, as much as Glass Hell. You are finally free to leave this cursed place. There's nothing to do for the doctor now. Once your eyes adjust to light again, head back to the building where Eve had been trying to compile the data on the Pulse Mime. You'll see that, though it is no longer useful to us, she did eventually succeed, and left a Pulse Dex ball here. Crack it open and holy shit! Yeah, that's why this thing was so hard to kill. All of the HP, and impenetrable defenses on top of that. Besides the statistical insanity, this Dex also has one of the most terrifying descriptions, explaining how Mime has such incredible psychic power by having to focus so hard on controlling its unattached limbs. Once the hairs on your neck stop standing on end, you'll now discover that the fighting in the streets has calmed down. Almost no one is left outside until you approach the northern end of the city, and you find one person here, Florinia. She briefs us that Meteor has all retreated into the building ahead, leaving the city mostly secure. She says our allies have pursued them in there, but expects an ambush, and to prepare now. Yeah, prepare. None of us can. We are just rats in a maze, doing what we're supposed to. I have one piece of advice about preparation. Make sure you have a shit ton of healing items, especially potions and revives. I'll tell you when you should break them out. When you are ready, step through the doors as Florinia follows you in. A new track begins to play, that being Glitch X City's remix of the Pokemon Mansion from Red and Blue. The longer you are here in this building, the more and more this track will drill nervousness into your head. Hardy and Shelly are here already searching for Meteor and Aya, but can't find anyone. Meanwhile, the 3 different people that used to constitute Zell report in, saying that, confoundingly, there aren't any doors out of this room to go further into the building. Shelly asks how a place that was meant for having large battling tournaments and events has no doors. Lumi is impressed that Shelly knew that much about this place when they didn't even know, having been in Labrador themselves before. Lumi also compliments Shelly on her bravery against Lynn, and though Shelly admits that Lynn really scares her, she knew that she had to act strong so no one else would worry about her while they were fighting here. Speaking of scary, here comes Saphira. Cal rushes up beside her as the eldest Belrose has one question. Where is Sigmund? She demands the answer, which we somehow give to her. When she learns he's already dead, her anger only continues rising. Her only purpose since escaping the orphanage was to kill Sigmund. Cal's attempt to calm her down only exacerbates her rage, yelling she will hear nothing from anyone about what's good for her. Despite knowing that Sigmund is dead, she still prepares to leave and find him. Then she steps to the south, and her tone completely changes when she asks a question. "Where's the door?" "I deleted it," says a voice over the intercom. Do we know this voice? Yes, we do. Extremely unfortunately. Just when you thought your brain cells were safe, the worst surprise party has begun. The worst, period. Back in digital form, the one, and thank God the only, Tara. Already, we have had enough, as Cal wonders where the control room to this place is, but Tara mocks us relentlessly that this isn't how this works. She isn't in this building. She is this building. Saphira's demand for a door with her typical death glare only invite more mockery and X-rated comments. Tara then tells us there is a way to leave. We will have to fight each other to move forward. Oh no, it's happening again. Victoria nearby says this too, yelling to everyone here that this is the exact same thing that happened at Devonix. Tara isn't shy to agree with that, calling the Devon Nightmare a prototype run. However, Tara then ridicules her for thinking there would be penalties. When Victoria asks her if she'll explain then what happens to the losers, Tara then responds no, problem. But first, this horrible sequence of despair brought to you by Tora Catsup. After her self-induced ad break, Tara then gives the answer we want, which is nothing. However, Victoria is quickly corrected when she assumes this means the losers will be let go. That would be something. Then, Tara basically turns her ears off, believe me, I wish I could do that, and now posts the pairings for the first round of the stomach-churning tournament. A tournament for all 16 of us in this building. One in which everyone must battle, or no one battles, in which case, no one leaves. After a dozen more headache-inducing lines, the walls to the north then begin displaying our faces. Once all of the faces appear, showing everyone who is trapped in here with Tara, lines then connect between them to show there will be 4 double battles in the first round. On Battle 1, Cal and Victoria, yeah, isn't that fucking something, are paired against Zero and Taka. Battle 2, in a horribly lopsided matchup, Julia and Shelly must battle Charlotte and Saphira. Battle 3 has a worse matchup than that, though. Hardy and Radimus are paired, and must fight Sarah and Noel. Radimus has to fight his own son. And finally, that leaves the battle we're in. Florinia is my partner again, invoking bad memories of the Fiore Gauntlets, while our opponents are Eve and Lumi. With this, the glitchy MC finally gives our brains a breather, as Victoria then presses everyone that we can't do this. However, Saphira has no interest in waiting. She can't go back, so she will go forward. Her singleness of purpose now lies in Lynn for taking away her chance at revenge. Victoria can't believe any of us will believe Tara. Yeah, very good point. Eve, though, surmises we really don't have a choice. Either none of us go on, or some of us go on. The rest of our friends agree on this, and head for the places they need to go for their battle. Victoria asks us directly if we think this is wrong. Fucking of course it is. But Victoria understands that it's pointless to resist now. Nearly everyone is willing to do this, and if she or anyone refuses, then no one advances, and Meteor is free to do anything they wish. With the idea that Solaris is still ahead of her, Victoria finally caves and goes off, wishing us luck. To the northeast of this lobby, we can find Taka. He sees the farce of being included in this tournament very simply. Does he expect to beat us? And then what? Fight Lin? But he decides that he came into this place of his own terms and says he will learn what it's like to live on his own after this is over. Noel is nearby, unsure how to feel about battling his father. He states he doesn't feel good about it, but not bad either. To the left in this lobby are vending machines for drinks and common candies, and also Radimus. He states how apparently we each are only able to see the doors we are supposed to enter, and no others. He finds it interesting, then wishes us luck. As if we'd need such a thing, he adds. Indeed, this door to the right is the only one we see. There's nowhere else to go. So we step through and walk down this hallway. Here, we find Florinia, along with a healing pod and PC. She's prepared to battle, and mentions our opponents, the Sajaya sisters. She predicts us to be the victors in this battle, though states that they have recently invested in training new teams, and tells us to be on our standard level of caution. Trust me, Florinia, I'm on an elevated level of caution, and an above-average degree of despair. Prepare your teams and save the game. Something I came into this building thinking was that you'd have to use one single team for the entire tournament. I was wrong on that. You are allowed to switch Pokemon without much restriction, when you are ready, and you step through this threshold. Because when you step into this scene and hear the game's title theme start, you know that something enormous is about to go down. The Labradora Tournament of Booty begins now. Our omniscience allows us to witness the pre-round dialogue between all the other battlers. Like we saw, in the most awkward of pairings, Victoria and Cal will have to fight together against two ex-Meteor agents. Terra brands this battle the Turncoat Turnabout, where 4 traitors face off. Victoria immediately takes issue with this, understanding all the other 3 entrants are traitors, but she isn't. Of course, Terra has no restraint in digging into Victoria about Kiki. Not just for failing to save her, but for thinking about forgiving Cal beside her. Victoria's anger is visible on her sprite, while Terra then announces the 4 trainers, each with absurd over-the-top titles. But further than that, Terra then does something else. She picks the field effect. Yeah, that's a thing. This tournament venue apparently allows for any field effect to be present for the battle that takes place. And Terra has the controls. Wonderful. It's about right now that you'll start to feel a dread seep in about what kind of horrible fields we'll be seeing in our own battle. For these 4, they are given the underwater field. That fucking sucks for Cal. We move next into the match between 4 gym leaders, the rank 1 and rank 3 gym leaders against rank 13 and 18. It's not hard to imagine what the result of this fight will be. As for the combatants, first off, I feel like Julia is just Terra, except she passed English. She is paired with Shelly against Saphira and Charlotte, who are both pretty much stone cold to the proceeding. They are thrown into a swamp, as Saphira tells Shelly, remembering her name, that she isn't holding back. Shelly understands and will do the same. Julia and Charlotte seem to be along for the fun of the ride. How horribly wrong you are. In the third arena are 4 more gym leaders, Hardy and Radimus, who Terra gives several names, against Sarah and Noel. The Ice leader asks why she's battling with Radimus's kid, but Terra isn't one for emotional connection. She's one for fucking with everyone except for people that share 80% of the letters of her name. That's why she gives Sarah the mirror arena for her match. Radimus then speaks to Noel, saying he should fight with everything he has. However, Noel makes a blunt point. him and Sarah winning would be disadvantageous. Noel, throwing Sarah under the bus, says him winning would be less useful than Hardy and Radimus winning. Jesus, there really is no confidence in that kid. For similar self-confidence issues, Sarah does agree, mentioning to Radimus about the Gardevoir he has to get back. Then the one at Agate was her? As for Hardy, he isn't just going to lie down, and Radimus says you cannot decide to win or lose a battle. You can only try, saying and knowing that his opponents are not. Lastly, I finally see with my eyes instead of mind's eyes, as Terra gives me the first of my nicknames, the walking plot armor. Hey, I didn't write the game, Terra. Next to me is Florenia, and across from us are the sisters Eve and Lumi, who Terra labels the murderer and her motive. Eve tells Lumi to pay it no mind, and says they already know their roles. Lumi continues by saying how they know all they're here for is to be a stepping stone. But when Florenia inquires if this means they forfeit, Terra bursts back over the intercom that there will be no forfeits. There will be trouble for anyone who doesn't battle properly. The sisters say they will try, but are rooting for us. Then Terra does this. Oh, fuck no. It was on this fight? Why would I think any differently? Let me give you a bit of a look ahead into the battle that's about to begin. It is pretty much round 3 of Glass Hell again. One Ice-type trainer and one Psychic-type trainer, more or less. But it's far, far worse than that. Thanks to the field effect we're about to be introduced to. The black and white grid-like pattern on the floor is the newest killing field. Inverse field. On Inverse field, there's only one gimmick that you need to worry about. But it will kick your teeth in. The type chart is inverted. Yeah, there go your strategies. Now you must be careful on every move selection. What does inverting the type chart do? Any weakness interactions now become resistances, and all resistances and immunities become weaknesses. To give a few examples, ground now hits flying and is super effective. Fire attacks are strong against water, and water attacks are resisted by fire. Ice comes from nowhere to be the best defensive type. Steel turns into shit, gaining 11 weaknesses, and a million more examples to be discovered. Before we see more of the heinousness of this field, let's go over the rest of the minutia. Some interactions that specifically change are Stealth Rock, which will assess damage according to the inverted type chart, such as Volcarona now doesn't mind Stealth Rock at all. Strong winds will cause Bug, Fighting, Grass, and Ground to deal neutral damage to Flying. Freeze Dry will still be super effective against water, thank God. That was the effect I mentioned back when we fought the Brain Cell Thief in the ceiling. These abilities still function normally. Flying type Pokemon are still not actually grounded, even though ground can hit them. Strangely, Thunder Wave will still not work on ground types. Nature Power becomes Trick Room. Camo is normal. Secret Power may confuse. Oh, will it? A Magical Seed will give a hell of an effect too. It gives a Quint power boost like Ancient Power can give, but also makes the user recharge for a turn. It's one of the more powerful seed effects, and this isn't the only field that does it. So what can you do about Inverse field? Honestly, there isn't much. Preparing for this field really comes down to the person you're fighting and if they prescribe to one or two types. If not, you better hope you have move coverage and think through every move carefully. Refer to the type chart on the wiki for help on this. One thing to keep in mind is that, even though it is called an inverted type chart, it technically has no way to empirically invert immunities, so there are none. That means you can't whiff a move entirely if you attack the ghost type with a normal move, so that's the thing. But trust me on this. This is not a field you'll ever be happy to see. Depth on this field is just like Glitch, in that it's not really reasonable to compare this to normal Pokemon battles since everything is different, and all of your strategies are flipped on their head. But if I were to not just punt again on the ratings, I would say depth 8, difficulty 8. So yeah, hope you're ready to reinvent your entire strategy right on the spot. Even Lumi, despite what they said, are not going to make this easy for you. Their first Pokemon are Alolan Ninetales, How Many Times More, and Porygon 2. To my Aerodactyl and Florinia's Hippowdon. Aerodactyl is going to be the fastest here, but what's awful is that Porygon 2 popped a seed for a Quint boost, plus its download boost, so it's going to be a death cannon. As for Ninetales, Rock Slide and Iron Head would be so nice, but no, we have to hit its resistances. This reveals why Lumi is going to be horrible to deal with. How many resistances does Ice have? It has 1. Its own type. But fortunately, Aerodactyl has Crunch, which he uses to hit resistance on Ninetales' other type to one-shot it. Alright, that's a start, as Hippowdon sets up Stealth Rocks. That's very nice. Next out from Lumi though is Mamoswine. This is an example of an opponent on Inverse Field who is so horrible. You can hit that super effective here with 2 things, Electric and Poison. I don't have those. Rock and Steel are both neutral here, so I go for Rock Slide. But then Porygon 2 wakes up and thunderbolts Hippowdon. It's defeated. Then Mamoswine uses Return, and of course, Rock is weak to normal on this killing field, and Aerodactyl is down. I'm at a loss. I go to Vanillix to try Blizzarding, which is still only neutral. Yeah, Porygon 2 thought that was a great idea too, and he goes first. Vanillix somehow doesn't die to it, but Mamoswine returns Vanillix and finishes him off. Florinia's Sandslash knocks off the Mammoth, but it fucking survives, losing its Choice Band. I send out Houndoom for a different group attack, Heat Wave, only to meet the same fate as Vanillix by Porygon 2. What a complete death spiral. There's no saving this. Blizzard pretty much covers my whole team, while Porygon 2 is greatly powered up. Slowbro can't survive 2 attacks to Trick Room, and a Sucker Punch from Mawile can't kill the Porygon 2. Florinia's Tangrowth can bring down the Cyber Pokemon, but Camerupt is basically nothing to the Alakazam that shows up next. Miserable. Inverse is going to show up and maul you on its maiden voyage. So how am I going to change that? Well, first, it seems completely unlikely that we do things without Trick Room. I put Slowbro up front, while also teaching him Shadow Ball. That's going to be for Porygon 2, who, being unable to act first turn, makes it so Slowbro can put up a Trick Room if he survives just 1 attack. It's a good thing that Ninetales tries to make it Hail, but Hippowdon says nope, it's Sandstorm now. I'm not confident this is all I need to do. Oh yeah, if you lose these fights, have fun going through all the dialogue and screen movements. Every single time. Now Slowbro will have to tolerate whatever Ninetales does. That ends up being a Dazzling Gleam, which is well within her ability to survive. With Trick Room begun, Slowbro then fires the Shadow Ball she brought at Porygon 2. It nearly beats it, then Hippowdon adds an Earthquake to it, and that horrible opener is down, while Ninetales still doesn't finish off Slowbro. Eve then sends out Reuniclus. Oh, you would like Trick Room, wouldn't you? How about this Inverse Psychic? It does 2/3, but its Psyshock takes out Slowbro, as Hippowdon then slacks off and eats another Dazzling Gleam. Reuniclus is going to be annoying to deal with, and while Ninetales is still there, I decide I need to go for a group attack that is super effective on one of them, so I send out Vanillix. But Reuniclus is at home in Trick Room, and goes first with a Focus Blast. That missed! Hippowdon goes before Vanillix with Rock Slide, but his Blizzard clears out the side. Alakazam comes back, along with Lumi's Aurorus. I bet that thing wants to use Aurora Veil, but Blizzard will be super effective. I just hope that Vanillix goes earlier. He did, and with the help of Rock Slide taking off half of Alakazam, Vanillix once again knocks down 2 Pokemon. Here comes Mamoswine again, along with Eve's next Pokemon, Sigilif. That one is resistant to everything we've been doing, and Mamoswine could hit Vanillix hard. On Sigilif's first turn, it chose to protect, and somehow Vanillix is slower than Mamoswine and blizzards him. It kills! Wild! Vanillix is slower than so many Pokemon I didn't expect. Lumi then sends out her ace, Glaceon. One of our helpers from the glass workstation, it's only weak to ice, so I have to hope Blizzard does really well here. It also used a Synth Seed for a Quint boost, meaning I get 2 shots at it. Blizzard hits the Glaceon and does over half, and a crit smacks a Sigilyph for the same amount. Sigilyph attacks Vanillix for the first time with Energy Ball for a third. Trick Room is still active, and Vanillix is slower than both of his targets, so another Rock Slide and Blizzard takes down another duo. Trick Room has now run out, as I believe that my chances may have too. In front of me now is Lapras and Eve's ace, Espeon. Once again, Lapras puts itself on cooldown for a turn with a Seed, but thankfully, Espeon aimed Psychic at Hippowdon to finish it off instead of Vanillix. Then Vanillix blizzards. That's quad damage to Lapras, and it dies. That was so big. I couldn't believe all that bulk was not enough for it to survive. Espeon, meanwhile, is down by half as Lumi sends out her final Pokemon, Goodra. That's finally something not weak to ice. In fact, resistant to it, so I'm expecting this to be the end of Vanillix. Espeon hits him with Psychic, but he manages to live. Florinia's Sandslash then gets an incredibly inopportune Stone Edge miss. However, Goodra aimed Thunderbolt at the Sandslash instead, as we find out it has a Focus Sash. This lets Vanillix do one more Blizzard to knock out the Espeon. Vanillix even gets another kill, sadly. His Hail takes down the 1 HP Sandslash. Sorry, Florinia. She replaces it with Ferrothorn, as Eve then sends out her own pseudo-legendary Metagross. How did you find that so fast? Do you know what I had to do to find a Beldum? I'm perfectly fine with it as it is also weak to ice, but what are the chances that Vanillix avoids all damage? Kills Metagross with Blizzard? Ferrothorn Gyro Ball kills the Goodra? Don't doubt him ever again. Vanillix, the Clutch Master. He just won this fight pretty much single-handedly. A Muddy Water miss, a Meteor Mash miss. What the fuck? That was so unbelievable. How many times am I going to say that this episode? I say it because I fully expected another 10 or more attempts to be lost to this one. Inverse Field can bite me. You get a full heal for free when the battle ends, so my previous files team has no indicators of how well they did. However, I had a Ghost type with Trick Room and Vanille Clutch. That should have basically gotten me there the same as today. The battle ends as Florinia predicted. Not sure she saw the same fight ending we did. Lumi and Eve congratulate us, to which Florinia says such affirmation is unnecessary, and says being happy about it is counterproductive. Eve then tries to give Florinia advice that the way she treats all these feelings, happiness and satisfaction, as being irrelevant, will leave her with only being able to do the things she thinks she has to do, and nothing she wants to. But Terra quickly butts in on this advice, then doing this. Eve's and Lumi's forms suddenly begin flickering. When Florinia asks what we are witnessing now, Terra replies simply, she deleted their character files. Do you really know what's going on? When Florinia presses Terra on the fact she said nothing would happen to them, she says yes, nothing is going to happen to them anymore. She then cuts off any more inquiries and leaves us with another air horn and despair. Florinia thanks us for our assistance and says we should proceed. So soon after they were freed from Zell, from Meteor, and now even Lumi. What will then put a weight in your gut is remembering the other 3 fights, and who must have. When you head north through more hallways, you'll then emerge in another lobby. Besides Florinia, we find the first of the other victors, Saphira and Charlotte. Then, Julia and Shelly. The sisters cannot find any doors here like before, and upon noticing us, ask if we saw the same thing. The same thing that Hardy then arrives and says. That means he and Radimus won. Poor Noel and Sarah. And Radimus. What's even more gut-wrenching about this is when Charlotte says she jumped through the flickering avatar of Shelley. The name she says is deleted out of the dialogue. Hardy is now less enthusiastic to continue, wondering if we should try to draw, but Florinia tells him that Tara won't allow it. Hardy is upset about this and says his goal is to save Aya. That's when Charlotte and Saphira basically stop being our allies. They declare they are going to win together and will beat all of us. Charlotte doesn't really care what happens to us as long as Saphira destroys Meteor, which she will. Hardy snips back at her for the sudden change in friendship status, but Saphira agrees that this is the way they have been made to be. They believe it is only them against the world. Anyway, guess who's here to say she told you so? Victoria, with Cal trailing a distance behind her for safety. So Taka and Zero didn't make it either. That's when Charlotte gets the attention of the clown in the house. No, why would you do that? After a long-winded joke about the word compel, one that gets Radimus to finally show up, and a lot of other lines that literally would be impossible to paraphrase because explaining jokes ruins them, our horrible digital overlord then announces the next round. When we see the screen, another wave of despair will wash over us, as more of Tara's sick humor translates into gut punches. The next round is in singles, not doubles. The combatants in each round are the teams that just won. Radimus versus Hardy. Charlotte versus Saphira. Cal versus Victoria. And me versus Florinia. But the least worried person in this group of 8, intentionally obstinate in my opinion, is Charlotte. She says it doesn't matter to her, Saphira will just win and go on to beat everyone else. Saphira is silent. Hardy and Radimus share a brief word, as Cal then mentions to Victoria that it will just be one of them coming out of this. Victoria has a lot of venom as she repeats what everyone said earlier, that the only way out is through. Charlotte is completely resigned to her defeat, and says that everyone else should be too. No one will defeat Saphira. Side note, as if this wasn't written for a video game, Saphira and I are on opposite brackets, so that may make it pretty obvious when we may face Saphira ourselves. Charlotte says the only way we're getting out of fighting Saphira is breaking through the walls, which aren't even denting. Tara then pipes up again how the walls are her mistress's best, meaning Lynn's. Then she starts up on something no sane person should ever hear or read. Some Lieutenant Surge fan fiction. No. Our pre-round conversations let us speak to Cal, who says that he guesses that this will be Victoria's way to knock Cal out of her life. However, he then realizes something and says that it will not be possible for Victoria to win. To the left, Florinia waits, saying that the next battle is a redundancy, but then mentions something about this building. Its layout seems to change not on actual structural modification, but on perception. She says that it could be that the entire place is made up of holograms, but her time to investigate is too little. As for Charlotte, she knows, among all others in the universe, she is especially screwed, and says goodbye. Charlotte. Radimus, meanwhile, has similar dissonance to deal with, having lost people to meet others and lose them too. There's a door for you on the east side of the room. Enter and walk down a hallway similar to last time, but alone. Here was where I determined that you'd get to switch your team between rounds. I had thought this tournament was far more cruel than that. After all, before you walked into this place, another of those ninja backup saves appeared in your save folder, simply titled Labradora. But just because you can switch your Pokemon between rounds doesn't necessarily mean you have all that it takes to overcome this tournament, and you may find that save file to be your only salvation from a bricked save file. In whatever case, step through to the next round. Tara introduces the first fight of the second round between Rartemis Van Halen and Hard-On Anderson. Hardy calls out to Radimus and tells him he knows he needs to fight for his kids in Gardevoir, but Hardy can't back down either. Hardy gets worried for Radimus when he seems to waver, but Radimus assures him that he doesn't intend to recoil either. His reasons to fight are greater than ever. He only wishes it didn't involve taking more innocents down on the way. In the meantime, Terra makes it rain and slaps a water surface in front of Gym Leaders 8 and 17. Radimus does not want to think about who is to blame for all this pain, but makes it clear he will fight for those who need him, calling it a necessary evil. Hardy calls it the resilience of humans. Radimus compliments Hardy on being more than Terra would have anyone think, and the two will now test their humanity against one another. But the next arena over is far less amicable. Terra announces the Sister Smackdown, a match between Charlotte and Saphira. Charlotte says simply this isn't going to be a match. Saphira agrees. She forfeits. Terra, though, roars at her like she did before that forfeits aren't tolerated. Saphira listlessly asks what's it to Terra, as the clown explains how she always pined to watch Saphira fight, wishing to be more like her, and asks Saphira if she will do it for her. No, she's told. Fuck, Terra says. The world's worst announcer threatens to punish both competitors if either of them forfeits. Saphira continues to object to this, but Charlotte remains practical to a fault, reminding Saphira that she is the best chance Charlotte has, as it has been for years. Charlotte says that if she were to win, then what? She'd fight the Rock Leader, then me? Saphira remains yet silent as Charlotte tells her it must be done. Then we enter the third arena, with another duel that can't help but feel pre-planned by Terra, Cal versus Victoria. Terra's constant railing on their apparent breakup status gets under Victoria's skin as she protests that they actually went out. As for Cal, when he tries to reason with Victoria, she shoots him down and tells him they're doing this battle, that any positive things she felt for him are long dead. Victoria cuts off Cal from trying to explain something to make Terra give them their field, Holyfield. But now Cal begins questioning Victoria about patience, and brings Kiki into it. As if that wasn't going to inflame her, she screams at him that she's dead because of him, but he responds that she is trying to use anger as her way forward. He calmly tells her that she has made all this about herself, and that she is incapable of winning this fight. She's more than ready to test that theory. And lastly, of course, is my fight against Florinia, as I get another nickname. Save Scum McGee. That's the second time you used McGee today, Terra. Florinia speaks as she laments that it must be me who fights her, but is ready to begin. Her usual robotic speech pattern gets a rise out of Terra, who then mocks her with a literal robot speaking.
Hello. I am a program voiced by Microsoft Sam. I have no personality and nothing interesting to say.
And then we get this field. Oh, fuck you, Terra! Yeah, welcome back to the worst field in the game. We will battle Florinia on Glitch Field. All Florinia has to say before we start shows that since we battled her at the end of episode 2, she has fully reversed from how she thought of our skills then and now. The first time we've knowingly rematched a gym leader in this game. With the gym leader music playing too, Florinia begins with Hippowdon and its Sandstream, which is something I should have predicted from the previous match as I put out Aerodactyl. Well, he's a terrible pick for this, so I bounce him out and put in Slowbro, just hoping that she lives the Hippo's attack. That attack is Stone Edge, which crits, but does less than I would have expected. Slowbro is slower than Hippowdon, but my team probably shouldn't be using Trick Room against Florinia. Instead, I just go straight for Surf. Hey, a crit for me! That one-shots to Hippowdon after it quakes Slowbro again, and now Florinia is going to send out Ferrothorn. Houndoom is obviously to play to that, as long as Heat Wave doesn't miss. Hidden Power, of course, is super effective, and then get this. Heat Wave hits on the second turn, but it doesn't kill Ferrothorn. How does a double weak Pokemon not die to that? Glitch Field doesn't mess with defensive types. No matter what, Ferrothorn takes down Houndoom, and I have to try getting rid of Ferrothorn with something unoptimal. Well, Sucker Punch from Mawile could get past the Steel typing. Oh yeah, I forgot. I hate Glitch Field worse than anything, and Dark type is not a thing, so that was a normal attack. So is the Iron Head I use afterwards, which gave Ferrothorn enough time to use Giga Drain to kill Mawile. That's just bad. I go into Vanillux to just hit neutral with Blizzard and get rid of this Sandstorm. With Ferrothorn gone, the next Pokemon to deal with is Tangrowth. Now that's something that Aerodactyl should be good at. Fuck Glitch Field! Synthetic Seeds take away all of your types, and now Tangrowth has no weaknesses. I go for Iron Head to try for a flinch, but get none. Take a massive hidden power, miss a Rock Slide, then die. I hope Vanillux is faster. He is, but 2 Blizzards gets to come 1 HP away from a kill, so Tangrowth gets to have a second Rock Slide. Now comes Sandslash, a regular one. Thank God, because in Hail that thing would be insanely fast. Well, in Hail it surely isn't. No, it is. It is faster than Vanillux. Vanillux dies to Earthquake. I send out Slowbro in the vain attempt to surf the ground type, only for Florenia to switch into Torterra. Surf was already neutral, but it also uses a seed, so no types. This bulky fuck barely takes a quarter from Surf, then eviscerates Slowbro with Leaf Storm. Camerupt comes out to see it Amnesia, which remember, that means its now much higher special defense is being used for its special attacks. Even though Camerupt lives 1 Leaf Storm, he can't kill even with 2 Earthquakes and the fight is over. Do I need to say again how much I hate Glitch Field? So instead of Aerodactyl up front being worthless, I put Slowbro up there instead to surf down the Hippo. But first, Hippowdon crits him with Earthquake for most of his life. Great, can Slowbro survive a second Earthquake? Not if that one also crits! At first, I was really mad about that just being bad luck, but that's not it. It's the field effect again. The faster Pokemon in an exchange gets 1 invisible stage of crit chance, but even so, that's still 2 1-in-8s in a row. Vanillux finishes off the Hippo since nothing else is super effective, and Florenia sends out Ferrothorn again. This time, hitting 2 Heat Waves in a row kills it, and Tangrowth is being sent out. I really hate that it gets an extra defense stage from that seed too, as I put Aerodactyl in. He goes for Rock Slide to try for Flinch. Of course I don't get it, as it gets a crit on its super effective hidden power. Now that one was bullshit. It didn't have the upped crit chance. On the next Rock Slide, I get a crit, but not enough to kill, and it doesn't flinch. Vanillux once again pulls cleanup duty, and now Florenia is putting out her still ace, Cradily. It's weak to ice and slow, though I'm dead certain it will also shed its types. Instead, I put in a weakened Houndoom to Destiny Bond it. And guess what? It used Stone Edge and missed. That's the most aggravating thing that can possibly happen. Houndoom is totally without a prayer here, as he does a third with Heat Wave before dying. I send out Vanillux to begin Hail again and Blizzard a lot, but then I remember that Florenia likes to stall with this fossil using Recover. Oh look, a time to use Taunt correctly. Thankfully, it was going for Recover again and fails. Vanillux Blizzards, eats a Stone Edge, then Blizzards again to kill the Cradily. Then comes Sandslash. Yeah, we never solved the fact that Sandslash outspeeds and kills Vanillux, along with Mawile and Camerupt. Okay, can we get an attempt where Slowbro doesn't die to 2 crits? Yes, she surfs down the Hippo with 2 surfs, taking no crits, and gets to use Regenerator as Houndoom comes in for Ferrothorn. Once again, he misses a Heat Wave, the second one, but Ferrothorn went for Explosion. I'm half fine with that, except I have to send something out blind. I decide it will be Vanillux since he covers Florenia's team pretty well, and she deploys her ace. I figure there's no point to taunt first turn, so I Blizzard for a chunk of damage, and then discover I definitely should have taunted. Stockpile. Well, I taunt on the next turn and that stops the second one cold. Speaking of cold, more Blizzard, which despite the special defense increase, promises to still knock out in 2 more hits thanks to Hail. Vanillux has to take another Stone Edge, something he has and will continue to endure for a long time. But now comes Sandslash again. We have a huge issue here. I don't have anything that hits it well and is faster. I need Slowbro to Trick Room, but at less than half HP, no way she survives an attack. But she has Regenerator, so what I do is sack my Camerupt into Sandslash, who had been going for X-Scissor on Slowbro. Camerupt survives that, but then I discover something really annoying. It's not using a Choice Scarf, because it used Earthquake second. So why the fuck is it so fast? Anyway, Camerupt dies, and when Slowbro goes for Trick Room, the Sandslash bails and Torterra comes out. Trick Room starts, and though Slowbro lands 2 buff Psychics, she goes down to 2 Grass attacks. Vanillix is naturally faster than Torterra, which means Trick Room screws him on this turn, but Torterra's weakened special attack means it can't kill him, and Blizzard finishes off the Torterra. But Sandslash isn't coming back right now. Tangrowth appears instead, capitalizing off of Trick Room. I put in Mawile since I want to save Vanillix to try to kill Sandslash, but then I look at her moves and realize something. I was given the chance to change Pokemon. Why the fuck did I keep Mawile once I found out this was a glitch fight? All of her moves are normal type. What's annoying is that her Sheer Force also works against her here. A flinch would be nice, but Iron Head can't cause a flinch because of her ability. In the end, I use up all of my Trick Room as Mawile flops against the Vine Monster, Megadactyl can't kill it himself, and Vanillix finally removes Tangrowth only for Sandslash to once again outspeed. Okay, depositing Mawile, withdrawing Greninja. Greninja will outspeed the damn Sandslash, and Hydro Vortex will kill. By the way, yes, I know at this point I had 2 Z moves on. One of them being a type that doesn't exist on Glitch Field, Black Hole Eclipse. Bad player I am. Anyway, the opening exchange should have gone the same, but for some indecipherable reason, Hippowdon now opens with Stealth Rock. Where is that coming from? That's annoying. Though it gives Slowbro an easier time to kill Hippowdon, it now makes Houndoom very brittle against Ferrothorn. He's still able to kill, but by the time he's leaving, if he were to come back, he'll die instantly. Sandslash is coming next though, so it's out to Greninja to... Oh, for fuck's sake! Sandstorm is still around, and that thing definitely has Sand Rush. Greninja is outsped and killed by X-Scissor. Let's not even dignify this one with playing it out. Well, the exact same things happened to the point that Sandslash came out, with Stealth Rock out there again. Now though, I have to get this sand out of here, but Vanillix, as you know, can't stand up to Sandslash. So instead, after making it hail, he then lets Houndoom come back, which, as I alluded, gets him killed by Stealth Rock. I hate that, because Vanillix will take another super effective hazard hit himself when he has to come back. In whatever case, Greninja then comes in, goes first, and Hydro Vortexes the fucking rat. Good, with it done, Tangrowth is coming back. I use Slowbro here in an attempt to Trick Room, though I'm not sure how useful that is against her slow team. Slowbro survives long enough to do so, but dies to hail. With the chance to shine, Camerupt comes out and uses Lava Plume, which gets a very timely burn. However, it still has a damn super effective hidden power for Camerupt, and even though he brings Tangrowth to red, he can't do it. Now in a Trick Room, a Tangrowth might be slower than all of my team, but Greninja can Water Shuriken first, which does just enough to kill the Tangrowth guaranteed. Typeless Torterra annoys me some more, and I figure that Greninja may not be useful switching out and back in because of Stealth Rock. Instead, I let him Water Shuriken for a decent 4-hit before being sliced by leaves, then finished off by Ice Pellets. That brings its special attack down helpfully, as Vanillix returns to take a weaker Leaf Storm, then Blizzard. Just then, Hail quits the game, and now I have to hope for 90% Blizzard to help me. But then, Torterra's special defense kept it from losing any more power, and Vanillix still faints. Aw fuck, now Aerodactyl is going to a Trick Room against a Tortoise. Wait, Florenia switches it out for Cradily. He gets a free Rock Slide, and at the precise best time, Trick Room ends. Now Aerodactyl has speed advantage, but he needs a flinch badly here on Cradily. Better, he gets a crit, and Cradily stockpiled. Please don't miss Rock Slide. Yes, now all that's left is Torterra. But then I realized, it's switched out, and now its typelessness from the seed item is gone. Thank goodness I put Aerial Ace on Aerodactyl. That's all he needs to finish off the final Pokemon from Florenia. Whew, that was close. Nail-biting way to end it. Had Torterra persisted against Aerodactyl, it probably would have done much more damage while not being weak to anything, but that switch and Glitch Field's crit mechanic actually helped me. My previous file had a seemingly easier time against Florinia, half of the team still alive, and all the same as the team from Eve and Lumi. Makes sense since Heracross would be pretty strong here along with Sigilif, though Air Slash would have been very bad compared to normal fields. The battle concludes, but Florinia then says something. Apparently, an option might still exist. Something about a pseudo backup. But before she can say much, Terra cuts her off about rubbing in how much better Florinia is at English, and then Florinia's visage becomes distorted, like the others. Do you have the strength to keep going and find out? What did she mean? We can't know now. All we can do is go on. We make our way through more cold hallways to reach a new lobby, inside of which is Hardy. When we speak to him, he mentions that Radimus actually nearly took the win, but in the end, he could not muster up the heart. The next person through the door is Cal. So he was right. And the last one. Of course. A hollow Saphira walks in, glares at Hardy for his comment, and tells Terra to get this over with. We're all erased, she tells us. All of us are a formality to her getting out of here and shredding Team Meteor. The three talking characters in this room go back and forth, the temperature rising, until Terra then blasts our eardrums with her journey impression. Saphira continues to rush this, already guessing that Hardy would be her next opponent based on bracket positioning. Terra tells us to look at the screen, then does an Old Spice commercial on shrooms, during which we find out that Saphira was right, and we are battling Cal. We are suddenly in a room by ourselves, and I have several thousand less brain cells. You can heal and set up your new team for Cal coming up, who like before is a fire-type user primarily. Once you are prepared, begin round 3. Terra starts, of course, with the fight we aren't in. Hardly versus a Raging Bull. Hardy says he's planning to really fight, saying he's not a fan of Saphira's attitude. But then Saphira does a complete 180 and declares she isn't going to fight again. Terra warns her once more, but Saphira reasons that if Charlotte is gone and there's no way to bring her back, then she has no reason to do this. Terra, however, then says that doesn't have to be entirely true. Saphira calls out Terra that she's just saying that, and gives the ultimatum that either Terra tells them there's a way to save the losers, or she's giving up. Terra, exasperatedly, gives in. She announces that there is a way to save the others. Hardy pushes back on this, asking how Terra could be trusted, but Saphira is fully willing to believe it. Hardy is confused on this, as Saphira then orders Terra to pick the field, saying it's obvious she will win on any field. Terra calls the eldest Belrose cockier than a rooster in heat, but Saphira throws back that it's justified. For that, Terra then decides to push that confidence as hard as she can, and gifts Hardy a rocky field. To this, Saphira is unexpectedly satisfied. When Hardy is confused again, she explains that the way that conversation played out told her everything she needed to know. She knows what the enemy is not trying to do. Hardy thinks they're trying to thin us out, but Saphira points out that they didn't have to do this tournament. They simply could have trapped us in this building. She learned that they aren't trying to whittle us down because Terra wouldn't have cared about her and Charlotte conceding. At first, Saphira believed this meant she wanted a particular winner. But now, the fact that she's been put up against the Rock Leader on his own home field means Terra doesn't really want Saphira to win necessarily. Furthermore, the fact Terra dangled a carrot in front of them about saving the others means this isn't to break our spirits either. She says this leaves one more possibility. When Hardy asks Saphira to please do tell, she responds that it would be wasted breath to tell someone who's about to be erased. This entire explanation was a way to see if Terra would argue with anything she said. However, Hardy still doesn't feel himself counted out, pointing out to Gym Leader 18 how he is Gym Leader 17 with an advantaged field. To that, all Saphira says is, she will win on any field. That moves us on to our battle arena, with Cal across from us. Terra drops another nickname on me, The F12 combo. Yeah, that's fair. Cal's already seeing the writing on the wall, as he tells us he believes the world will be in good hands if I win. Unfortunately, this so-called sappy business gets Terra to, oh fuck no, not the fanfiction again! Then a dragon's den erupts from the field. Great, a third killing field in a row. This was the only one I didn't remember what it would be before I came in here. Cal has nothing more to say. Let's do this. Another battle on another killing field begins. One that I don't think I have to tell you will be appearing again this episode. But Dragon's Den won't appeal to Cal's team as much, even though it buffs fire attacks. His first is his scary Magmortar, getting a ton of increased power from its elemental seed. But he meets my Mega Aerodactyl, and Rock Slide crits for a one-shot. Very good start. But Cal next deploys that pseudo-legendary he hadn't evolved when we last faced him at Apophil. Como O. I decide I'm not letting a dragon have the home field advantage. It's time to delete the field with Hydro Vortex from Greninja. He's faster, and though the attack itself does very little to Como O, Dragon's Den is now just a cave. Unfortunately, its Dragon Dance lets it go first next turn and one-shot Greninja. I don't like that. No Mawile, of course, since this is a fire trainer, so I go into Aerodactyl again. Como O is faster than that? Oh no, this is really bad. He becomes confused, and basically my play is to hope to God it hits itself. I'll take that. Vanillux takes that. At this point, my fast teammates are mostly down, and Arcanine is appearing, so it's time for a Trick Room. Slowbro has to suffer through Outrage from Arcanine, but puts up the Trick Room and then washes it away with Surf. This is going well, unlike the last few fights, but coming out next is an unexpected Pokemon. Cal's current ace, which is actually Kiki's ace, Medicham. Tough one, that. Especially because I am pretty certain we're going to see Mega Medicham. However, Slowbro should still have the advantage with Trick Room, and she has Shadow Ball, managing to have one of its weaknesses. It appears, and as I predicted, it Mega Evolves. It annoyingly fakes out first turn, but that can't kill Slowbro. Sadly, her Shadow Ball can't kill Megacham, so Slowbro is taken down. That's fine though, as Camerupt is very slow too, and over-Earth powers Medicham. But Camerupt was an interesting Pokemon to have in this fight right now, as the next Pokemon that Cal is sending is that same one. This is a risky mirror match. Trick Room is tough to call here, because my Camerupt is higher level than Cal's. However, there's something that mine has that Cal's doesn't. A negative speed nature. I didn't know this at the time. The feeling in my gut was that my Pokemon would go first. And he does. His Camerupt is wrecked in one Earthquake, and now, whatever Cal sends next is almost guaranteed to faint since Trick Room remained. That final Pokemon is Charizard, and Camerupt repeats Earthquake once more. Interestingly, I didn't expect it to hit Charizard, of course, but Cave Field always tricks me by letting flying types be hit by ground. Even if Charizard had survived the attack, he and Camerupt would have gone down to the cave collapsing. And done. First try, but that all came from a confusion self-hit. Hey, I don't mind. I gotta have some luck to win these fights. Even if I had to go again though, Cal's team was not well suited against mine. Last time had a pretty similar team, but I did ditch Vanillux to bring in the same Pokemon that brought the roof down today. Apparently though, I had a harder time. Slowbro really did help a lot more than Dusclops. Cal admits this was to be expected. Terra yells that this was totally not an upset, and Cal asks us one favor. Find a way to save Shen. Do you want to know, or will it be too much? Terra interrupts to erase Cal and remind us there's more battles to fight. I'll save her, Cal. Up through one last long walkway, we reach another lobby, and on the wall, the final bracket is currently being decided. Sadly for Hardy, Saphira was right. The other finalist, Saphira, enters the room, pleased that it was me who won. Of course, this was the only logical outcome in a game sense. We have to fight Saphira for the final badge somehow, and that's exactly what Saphira has in mind. She tells Terra to open the gym. When Terra rips her for thinking she'll take orders from Saphira, Saphira makes it clear it isn't an order. It's what would be more interesting. Saphira reveals what the purpose of this tournament was. It's not to reduce our strength. It's not to break us. It's not to hand choose a victor. It's for entertainment. Either Terra's or someone else's. Terra cannot deny this. Saphira offers up that using the gym shakes up the formula of the first 3 rounds. It raises the stakes, and Saphira tells us the only thing we need to hear. If I win, I will get the final badge. However, it guarantees that Saphira will battle on her own field. This plan is accepted by Terra, who opens the gym in a nearby healing capsule in PC. Saphira goes towards the gym now, telling us she'll be waiting. What's coming next is not simply the ultimate gym leader battle. There's much more to it than that. And at this moment, I don't remember if I can change my Pokemon again until after this is all over. In that case, let me go over the team that's going against Saphira and the rest of the festivities. We start with Houndoom. Now in the context of Saphira, that seems like a poor idea, but this is more about what I have to do besides battling her. Even besides those extra problems, he's not worthless against Saphira. I've gone back to Foul Play while keeping Heatwave, since either one could be overwritten by TMs, and Foul Play could be good against a Dragon Leader, plus Destiny Bond of course. I need something like Houndoom to be naturally fast. I can't rely on setting up Trick Room every time coming up. Of course, I am bringing Slowbro as always for Trick Room. She can do great damage and has a ton of TM flexibility as well. One thing to note is that she's got Amplified Rock for more Trick Room turns, as opposed to using Water EMZ. You already heard from Saphira that her battle takes place on Dragon's Den. But Slowbro isn't going to be the one that deals with that field. Greninja will. Just like the fight with Cal. He's naturally fast, which I will need if I want to delete Dragon's Den easily. Sadly, Greninja against Saphira isn't a good matchup, but trust me, he'll be pulling his weight by the time we're done with this episode. Before we go into the 2 Pokemon that will be good for Saphira, we have Camerupt. Camerupt has good strength and is very powerful in Trick Room. As well, like we saw with Cal, after Dragon's Den cools down into Cave, Camerupt can then shake the cave down onto his opponent's head, acting as sort of a faster Perish song. Now, the 2 Pokemon that are suited to fighting dragons, such as Mawile. We saw in the Mime fight how powerful she can be. Effective 600 attack stat while Mega Evolved and also boasting very wide type coverage, she can hit things damn hard. Of course, she's not very fast, but that's why I have Slowbro. In the fight with Saphira, she's a no-brainer. She can switch into dragon moves to nullify them, and has Play Rough to clobber them back. Plus, I was going through TMs for another purpose when I discovered she can learn Swords Dance. No duh, Oildrum, you seriously didn't know that? Nope, but now I do, and given the right circumstances with Trick Room and Sucker Punch, Mega Mawile could be titanic. Finally, what team would be complete without the Clutch Master Vanillux? I mean, no one expected anything different, come on, it's the Dragon Gym Leader. Now the question is, why Water EMZ and not Ice EMZ? The reason is that I don't want Vanillux to be disadvantaged as he's using ice moves. If he has to be the one who removes Dragon's Den, then it's possible that even Sub-Zero Slammer doesn't kill my opponent. I decided that Greninja is better suited to do that, then Slowbro can set up Trick Room and Mawile or Vanillux will decimate. Especially against the one Pokemon that we know Saphira has, Dragonite. Like I said, this team isn't solely meant for Saphira, and as we move into the next chamber, you'll understand partly why. However, it's definitely set up well enough for her, especially since I'm fully committed to destroying Dragon's Den. Don't be fooled though. Saphira is not an easy opponent even if you destroy Dragon's Den. She wrecked me considerably last time. We'll see soon how well we really do. Enter the final gym to your left, and get ready for one of the craziest gym puzzles you've ever seen. First, you'll find Saphira on the southwest side near the phone to the Grand Hall. Saphira greets us, with Terra still overhead slobbering all over us. Not anymore. Saphira turns to the console and mutes the intercom. Dear God, thank you, Saphira. She too is thankful for this feature and tells us she will be waiting at the top, but there's the aforementioned puzzle before that. As for the Grand Hall, the only person left to pick up the phone is Adrian. They're relieved to see us from Labradora, thinking this must be good news. Good is highly relative right now, Adrian. When we tell them the situation, they immediately compare it to Devon as well. Adrian says they'll begin making preparations to come to Labradora in case there's anything they can do to help. Besides that, Adrian then goes into the gym leader notes for the final gym. As we can tell from the molten lava nearby and the 6 other times I said it, Adrian warns that Saphira will use Dragon's Den. That boosts Dragon's attack and defense, which means that Saphira is given freedom to invest in speed. Adrian boasts that a bulky fairy type would do wonders here, but says that nothing will do very well against her ace, Dragonite. Multi-scale removes Dragonite's dragon weaknesses at all times. With ice power halved in this arena, that leaves only the most last resort type to fight Dragonite, Rock. With that, Adrian leaves us to challenge Saphira. Now, throughout this entire ordeal, there's been no reason to use the item finder. That changes in this room. What you're going to find here is a veritable obstacle course, with certain formations being crossable. Use this time to search around the room for hidden items and get a feel for the ways you can move through the chamber. To be clear, you are able to climb up piles of coins, cross pools of lava on the hexagonal gem rocks, and platform from peak to peak. I mention item finder because there's a PP Max up here. Minor spoiler. If you didn't get these items before finishing Labradora, then you won't get another chance. Only when you are ready to begin should you click on the very large treasure chest near the top of the mountain. Saphira then speaks from somewhere and asks you one question. What is most precious to you? You're given a list of several options. Happiness, money, friends, family, freedom, legacy, or nothing. Each option starts a different logic tree, and the choices affect your relationship score with Saphira. I didn't bother to go through all of the choices because most of them have Saphira ridicule you for shallow answers and you will lose relationship points. The best answer, which I truly didn't cheat for, this is just what I picked, was family. She calls me out on it too, wondering if I picked that just to please her. If you say no, then she follows up with another question. Would they be just as important if they weren't related to you? No, they couldn't possibly be. Saphira responds knowingly how a family is made uniquely of something the rest of the world isn't. You fight to protect what you are, not who you are. At this point, no matter what option you chose, Saphira then tells you that the precious thing we picked is inside that chest. My family is in the chest? You really are nuts, Saphira. She goes on to say that the world does not want me to keep it. Thus we enter one of the most creative sequences in the game, and definitely above any other Pokemon game. The Tower Defense. We are about to be assailed from all sides by a multitude of threats. There are no breaks or second chances, meaning we can't leave and must start over from the beginning if the treasure is destroyed. However, something you should know is that you can pause and even save the game. I'm going to attempt this without any saves throughout. If it becomes too awful, I may drop a save after particular points. By the way, this is where your healing item stash is finally going to be tapped. Hope you have enough. It begins, and right away, an indicator flashes on screen pointing north. Here's a general tip. For me, it makes more sense to stay next to the chest and react to what approaches it. Don't go looking for threats unless you have to. Also, remember that you have to fight on Dragon's Den the entire time, so it's really a good idea to have Hydro Vortex or Sub-Zero Slammer to solidify it into Cave Field. From the sky descends a Mandibuzz, so I bump Vanillix to the front to blizzard it. It unfortunately takes 2 to down the flyer on this field since Ice is half power, so he takes some damage. From the left, 2 Ambipoms are running in. I have no fighting moves in this party, but fire attacks are powered up. I use Houndoom's Heat Wave and easily one-shot the 2 monkeys, though Life Orb takes its toll. But don't get comfortable thinking that you can see what you're going to fight. It looks like Saphira borrowed a few of the suits of armor from Titania. These are full-blown trainers, and the first one approaches from the southeast. It starts with Hitmonchan, which frustratingly boxes down my Houndoom with Mach Punch instantly. I'm very ill-equipped to beat that thing while being faster. I go into Mega Mawile to play rough, but it switches out into Vaporeon. Play rough still fortunately beats it, but out next is Noivern. Fast as fuck boy will go into a Trick Room from Slowbro, who then blasts it with Psychic, but faints to another Boom Burst. With Trick Room though, Mawile can mash the Noivern and Hitmonchan with ease, only taking a weak Sucker Punch on the way out. 2 of my Pokemon fainted from that, and you can see that this is an endurance test. Revive your Pokemon as they faint, even heal them if they lose a good chunk of HP, but suddenly you're going to be informed that a Blaziken is revving up speed. That sounds bad. What the hell do you do? Just hold tight near the chest. You need to deal with this Charizard first. Camera Up Rock Slides it after taking a crit Flare Blitz, thanks, but Anger Point activated so Rock Slide kills for sure, thanks. Don't bother looking for the Blaziken. It is far too south and you'll leave the chest open. Instead, you'll hear the revving increasing, so stand to the left of the chest, and the starter will suddenly launch up from the bottom of the screen. If you go towards it while it leaps, you'll cut it off. Greninja is plenty fast to Hydro Vortex the chicken away. I did end up walking around the field to find a Tyrantrum, which Greninja dispatches with little effort. Many indicators are plastered on the screen, but as long as you stay near the chest, they don't seem to come at you from multiple angles. Another Mandibuzz comes down to be vortexed, but it puts Toxic on Greninja before fainting. From the southeast again, another trainer is marching forward. The suit of armor leads with Altaria, which is not a great match for Greninja. For some reason I decided to surf only, thinking to hold Hydro Vortex for later, but after doing so little and taking so much from Play Rough, I just launched a Z move second. It only brings the Altaria to half and Greninja faints. Dragon's Den is no more though. When I bring out Vanillix for Altaria, it predictably swaps into something better. Mawile. Good thing then that Blizzard almost killed and froze. That freeze stays on the next turn and Mawile is out. But the Altaria comes back and proves that it didn't need to run. It goes first and slaps down Vanillix with Iron Tail. My own Mawile goes out, but once again, it decides to bounce, and here's another Garchomp. Yeah, eat this Play Rough. Garchomp dies, but it becomes clear that the reason this Altaria kept switching was surely for a choice item. It came back and earthquaked Mawile down. I go into Houndoom, but I don't want to get a third faint, and try to Dark Pulse instead. Very fortunately, it's enough to beat it. This is when something very upsetting happens. A message appears that says something is lifting the treasure away. That something is a Magneton. You need to go find it southwest from the chest. It's on a really annoying peak to reach. You have to go all the way to the bottom for it. But once there, Camera Up crushes it. Once it dies, the chest will return to the normal spot. Rush back to it. From the right, you're going to get 2 Druddigons who are going to mix up their approach. This is when I found out something odd. It appears that most of the dragon Pokemon may only have dragon moves. Well, a Mawile has no problem standing there and nullifying those. Mawile clobbers both of them. Invaders approach from the left, and if you're very perceptive, you might have seen that rock move. Your attention, though, is drawn to the Tyrantrum. Mawile gets that one with a play rough too, but that rock is going to move lightning quick to the chest. It's a Zoroark. Mawile was not able to avoid damage this time, as it shoots her with a gout of Flamethrower, but she incredibly survives this and knocks down the illusion Pokemon. But we're going to need to hold back another night now. It starts with Bisharp to Mawile, who takes the incoming Iron Head and survives. She knocks out the Bisharp with another play rough. Arcanine appears next, who nails Greninja for half HP with extreme speed before drowning. Haxorus jumps in afterwards to take half off Vanilluxe, who ices the dragon. From the sky next are going to be two Aerodactyl, but despite their type not including dragon, the first one uses a dragon move on Mawile, then dies to Iron Head. The second one uses that same move on her for a small amount, then dies the same. Garchomp is preparing to rush! Bring it the fuck on! I don't even need Vanilluxe. Hydro Vortex into Surf kills it. You're bound to be feeling the pressure by now. The worry that losing sends you all the way back to the beginning of this sequence, but steel yourself. Another trainer approaches. It starts with Como-O, who is perfectly weak to play rough. Mega Wild survives a close combat and... oh, fuck, she missed. Her Sucker Punch does little, and she's knocked out. Its defenses are wide open though, so Greninja goes first to Z-move it down. We get another Pseudo, Salamence, and now I need to rely on Vanilluxe. First though, Slowbro starts Trick Room. Oh, I guess I don't need Vanilluxe here either. Two Psychics take down the Salamence, who only got a Dragon Dance and Claw out, leaving Slowbro healthy. Last is a very odd Pokemon to put into a gauntlet of dragons and fire types. Klinklang. Camerupt is perfect to Trick Room Earthquake it. Another Aerodactyl flies down, gets Iron Headbutted, then a Flygon appears from the south. Well, that'll be another play... Shit. I have no more to use. Then Swords Dance and Sucker Punch? Holy shit, that worked! Yeah, keep an eye on power points as well, especially on moves like Blizzard. Even 10 PP moves like Play Rough could go quick. You're going to be assailed from two directions right here. Druddigon on the left is roughed up. However, Charizard gets one hit in on the chest before Greninja shoves it underwater. But now we come to our last stand. Oh yeah, he's back. The Tanzan Mountain Steelix. And Saphira has been training it. The Mega Steelix is now level 100, but that's not nearly the reason why it's a problem. Just watch this Hydro Vortex. What the fuck? Mega Steelix's special defense is not something to write home about. So how in the fuck did a Z move that hit weakness just do about 20%? Well, thanks to Big JRA, I learned why. You see, a Pokemon can have 252 EVs in a stat at maximum. This Steelix? Put a 3 on the beginning of that in HP. This Steelix has 3,252 EVs in HP, which means it would have over 700 more HP than a regular non-illegal Steelix, easily topping over 1,000. But I don't care if you have 1,000,000 HP! It's all null thanks to Destiny Bond. A Steelix, even this one, is not faster than Houndoom, who easily drags the inflated Pokemon down with him after dying to Earthquake. That was the only way that would have worked. I would have needed to use Hydro Vortex twice more to kill it. As if this dramatic battle could be topped, defeating the Mammoth Steelix renders you the victor of the tower defense. What a set piece. An absolutely thrilling, nail-biting scene that puts you on your toes like nothing you've done. Even in the midst of this farcical, despair-filled tournament, you can't help but feel excited and accomplished about this segment. Last time I got through the tower defense, I know that I used saves because I got smushed by the Steelix. On the second try I saved close to it, and I don't remember how much I had to retry it. Looking at my team that took on the tower defense, which is half the same as today, I'm not entirely sure what killed him. Dusclops had an obvious perfect choice in Curse, but his HP is full, so I must have found some other way. Once the Steelix collapses to the floor of the gym, the back wall is suddenly covered in rushing lava. A light shard appears, and you can ascend the lava fall from the tallest mountain. That's when I went to test if you could leave the gym to change parties after the tower defense. Trying to leave during the tower defense incurs a penalty to Saphira's relationship score. Turns out, you can leave after it's over, but you suffer other consequences, because the intercom is not muted out here. Tara is quite displeased with being put on mute, telling us what happened to the last girl that did so.
There I am, Gary, there I am!
Tara isn't going to let Saphira get away with it for free. The way she's going to get back at her is by letting me leave. Leave the entire building. What? I had no idea this was an option. You can go all the way out of the tournament hall and go do any other preparation you want before starting to fight Saphira. It actually boggles my mind that this is a thing. That being said, I got some suspicion that leaving the gym at all after the tower defense, even when you win, has a negative effect on Saphira's relationship points, since you get handed a light shard, so I just reset so all this isn't triggered. Obviously, I had to show it off though. Back inside the gym room, ascend a new path of gemstones to finally reach the arena, and the final gym leader. Saphira knows you know what to do. We take our place. Saphira makes it clear that the gym puzzle was just a formality. She did trick Tara in the end to be able to use her field against us, ensuring her victory. However, she will hold up her end of the bargain and award us the ultimate badge if we do fluke a win. She repeats, though, that she will not lose. Then it will be two unstoppable forces in this fight, and one of them will be disappointed. And so, we have reached the final gym battle. Like I wanted to see you again, fucking Noivern! Great, now even Greninja's speed is no match for it. Can Greninja survive a hit to still use Hydro Vortex? No, he dies to the same move we saw at the circus, Boom Burst. That special attack increase from the seed is so terrible. Well, the attempt is over, but I need to know what I can even do. Obviously, the first thing to check is if Slowbro survives an attack so she can use Trick Room. Cool, nice crit, thanks. While crit Sucker Punch does 2/3, she dies to Flamethrower. Saphira full restores. I hit with Camerup's Lava Plume and burn for half damage. She full restores again, so she's very quick on the trigger with those. Houndoom can't outspeed for Destiny Bond, and there's no reason to see if Vanillix is faster. Okay, then all we have left to find out on the next attempt is, can Slowbro survive to Trick Room? She can. She then hits Noivern with Psychic and drops its special defense, dying to the next attack. But now with Trick Room up, my normally super fast Greninja goes first and blasts the Noivern and the field with Hydro Vortex. I thought maybe with the special defense drop it would die, but alas, it survives and then one-shots Greninja in return. However, Dragon's Den is now a cave. That's Vanillix's cue to go out there and start blasting. He kills Noivern easily with Blizzard, to which Saphira gets ready to send out Charizard. I send out Camerupt, but hey, Charizard isn't a dragon type. Oh, wait. Yes, it is. Camerupt makes use of the Trick Room to go first, and the Cave Field to strengthen Rock Slide. But even with those things, Mega Charizard X's loss of its flying type allows it to survive, then respond with Dragon Claw for a one-shot. Jeez, really? I then put out my Mega Evolution and go for Sucker Punch. Saphira heals the Charizard. Man, you just throw those out at the first sign of trouble. Next move, I use Play Rough first, but it is not enough to kill being neutral. It then comes back with Flare Blitz and knocks out Mawile, but its recoil damage brings it down too. With a fading Trick Room, I send in Vanillux as my last great offense. To this, Saphira sends her well-known ace now, Dragonite. Oh shit, the durable bastard itself. Unsurprisingly, it is level 100. Even without Dragon's Den, this thing still has multi-scale, which means it will take half damage off the first attack it takes. But can a Blizzard from Vanillux still pierce it through its double weakness? No. Extremely unfortunate. It also heals half with a Wiki Berry. I'm then stunned when Vanillux lives a Fire Punch, only to then be gutted when the Trick Room runs out. Of course, Vanillux cannot make another move, but I'm amazed to find that Houndoom could, hitting with Foul Play. It falls 1 pixel short of a kill, and Dragonite claws away my last Pokemon. I'm not liking this. Dragonite's multiscale is a big problem. My issue is that Trick Room has very limited time to work. If Slowbro dies, then I basically need a one-shot on every opponent afterwards. On the next attempt, I try to see if maybe Slowbro doesn't have to die. After all, the first attack Noivern uses on her is Dragon Pulse. After she turns on Trick Room, I switch to Mawile and hope for the Dragon move against her too. Nope, it was Flamethrower second. That's not going anywhere. On the next attempt, I make a dumb play and went to Mawile instead of Greninja. Now Dragon's Den is still active, and Saphira sends her ace out. Greninja is normally faster than it, and so he dies to the dragon and that attempt is over. The next one goes out the window too because Slowbro got crit again. When we get back to familiar ground of Vanillux killing Noivern in a cave, Saphira is sending her Charizard out again. I decided that if there's anything I have to get rid of with Destiny Bond, it's this. I send out Houndoom, who is slower and Trick Rooms out the Destiny Bond, and is promptly knocked out, bringing down the Dragon-type Charizard. Of course, that necessitates a blind switch, which I make Mawile. Oh look, it's that pseudo-legendary that's been plaguing me the whole game, Garchomp. Well, Mawile is definitely slower, and breaks its arms and legs with Play Rough, but once again her ace is approaching. At this moment, I wanted to find a way to survive an attack from Dragonite one turn so that Hail would break its multiscale. After that, any attack would probably kill it. However, switching to Vanillux here was a bad play, because it will probably go for a fire move instead of a dragon move had I switched to Camerupt. The plan was to switch back to Mawile to make a dragon move fail. Instead, when I switch to Mawile, she takes a fire punch, gets burned, and then gets hit with extreme speed and dies. Then Trick Room runs out. When Vanillux goes back out to what I thought was certain doom, instead, he also lives a fire punch and kills the Dragonite. But out goes one pseudo, in comes another, Salamence. Naturally, neither of my Pokemon are able to survive the Salamence's attacks. Ugh, this is so awful. The big problem is the Dragonite. How do I get around it? It comes so close to death from Blizzard even with multiscale. But boom. It hit me. Vanillux is holding an Icy Rock. We have many options to make Vanillux do more damage. Best for him being choice specs. Dragonite takes 50% less on the first hit? Well, Vanillux will do 50% more. The important thing now is to have Vanillux stay out for more Pokemon if possible, since he'll have 3 less turns of Hail to work with. In that case, Mawile kills the Noivern for me, and then we are presented the opportunity to test. Dragonite is coming out, Vanillux meets it, and with Blizzard, he got it! Then comes the Garchomp. Get out of here! Then the Charizard. Down you go. And into Vanillux blind, the third pseudo. So long, Focus Sash! Come on! Vanillux gets hit with a Fire Fang. And once more. Clutch. Master. Vanillux's Hail has the last laugh and plinks the Salamence to death. But we have a problem. It has still taken too long. Trick Room has ended, and Saphira is sending out her final Pokemon, Haxorus. I send out Mawile and hope to God she has a way to survive. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It uses Earthquake and one-shots her. Wait a minute! Holy shit! On the shoulders of the Clutch Master, who survived the Fire Fang from Salamence, I had one final Pokemon alive when Camerupt also tanked the Haxorus Dragonclaw and used Earthquake for the second time in Cave, collapsing the ceiling and emerging victorious over the final gym leader. By a hair's breadth, I took this one. What a ridiculous battle. And think about this. Dragon's Den was active for only 2.5 turns. Imagine if you weren't blowing it away like I was. How the hell are you expected to deal with this? I can't think of it. Unless you came in with 6 fairy types that weren't weak to fire, I don't see how you play this straight up on Dragon's Den. One of the most dangerous killing fields for sure. Now look at this previous file's team. How did so many more survive? I really don't know why I brought Heracross, since she'd be very susceptible to the fire attacks here. Obviously, my only choice to destroy Dragon's Den was with Vanillux, who maybe threw it at one of the double Ice Weak Pokemon, but I'm surprised this team was this well off. Of course, though, this victory, like all the others in this tournament, is not sweet. Saphira's impenetrable exterior begins to crumble, as she mutters that her responsibility was to protect her family. She says that the life she was made to live taught her that everyone is corrupt and no one will help or listen. Except that, all I've done, as she says, is sit here and listen. She wonders if I am foolish enough to believe that all of my problems can be solved by defeating various different teams of Pokemon. If that were true, then something is wrong. But as she says, everything is wrong. She admits now that her entire goal from the start was murdering Sigmund, and that she used the excuse of protecting her sisters to do that. But with him already dead, she knows she can't take control back. She learned it against Lynn. She says that she was always alone in this, and worse still, the times when she was abused by Sigmund, he doesn't even remember them, according to her. He would fall into a trance and begin repeating a name while crying. Lizzie. She relents. She has nothing now. Even if she did get out of here. All she has left to tell us is that our badge and TM wait in the chest below. She then speaks to the muted Terra now, saying she's had enough. We descend the lava fall now in our Pyrrhic victory. For everyone, we must take the treasure and use it to defeat Meteor and avenge the fallen. We must take the treasure badge. And now, the level cap has been destroyed. We are able to control any Pokemon. Along with it is the TM for Dragonclaw. And thus, if you were keeping track, we have now obtained every TM in the game. What do I do now? What am I going to say to Laura and Heather and everyone else? What is Florinia doing in the walls? What? After a literal spasm of reality, Florinia appears, getting a very explosive response from Terra. If you thought the episode was over at Saphira, you were mistaken. The Labradora Tournament of Booty isn't officially over yet. Walk over to the right and find Florinia staring at a wall. With something indistinguishable from magic, Florinia causes a terminal to appear in the wall. At that, Terra quickly brings the mallet down on Florinia again. She becomes deleted like before, only to suddenly animate again. Terra tries it again, only for the grass leader to return to existence once more. Florinia asks if she can explain, and Terra graciously lets her. Florinia tells us that this building is far more high-tech than it appears. The entire interior of the building acts like drawing on a whiteboard, where the structure can be rewritten using holograms, using air pressure, and by the way, this is a video game, so suspend some more disbelief. The building can be made to look certain ways to certain people, and disallow movement in a way that feels like they are just regular walls. This brings up the point of the deletion. None of the participants of this tournament have been harmed. All of them were essentially encased in this air pressure, showing what would otherwise look like a character having been deleted. However, Terra is mad about how Florinia just turned it off. It turns out that this feature has a back door. She discovered that she was able to access an emergency terminal and on it, install a program that would reverse the effects of the deletion automatically. Florinia says that no matter how much Terra attempts to delete her, the process will be undone by her program. I want to point out that she said this and referred to herself as me. Something that she has not done the entire time we've known her. Is her own barrier beginning to fall? But Terra throws it in her face that now that she knows a program like that exists on the system, Terra is going to delete it and re-delete Florinia. She looks first in the most boring place it could be and finds it. That's not good. But don't worry, Florinia prepared for that too. She created a second program to recreate the first if it stopped working. Upon learning that Florinia wrote a virus in the time she was trapped, Terra actually gives her some respect. But that quickly ends as she starts blasting through the system to find where the second program is. Florinia meanwhile tells us she's going to need us soon. She's creating an avatar for Terra, but she's quickly rendered immobile again, as Terra returns gloating over how easy it was to find the second program. Then Florinia undoes it again. Florinia goes on, telling us that she is making us immune to deletion too. Terra comes back with more one-liners and a failed Ligma joke to delete Florinia again, this time waiting before making more snarky comments. Florinia? You're making me nervous. Whew, okay. Then comes the next step. Terra is deployed. Terra is amazed to find herself in real form again, as Florinia tells us that we have to now hold her attention as she works on the last part to defeat the system. Instead, Terra tries now to delete me. Fortunately, the anti-deletion program now whitelisted me too, but the rest of the building is now pretty glitchy. Oh no! And that's when Terra goes for one last Hail Mary. If she can't delete us, she'll delete the fonts. This is not a glitch. Okay, it fucking is! Again! Welcome to the fight I'm most dreading to commentate. Because there is literally no text on the screen! This is Textless Terra. A test not only of your Pokemon battling skills, but also your memory. Do you know which ground move is which on Camerupt? Is Surf on the left or the right for Greninja? Which one is Freeze Dry? And worst of all, what the hell Pokemon is Terra going to send out next when you're playing Shift mode? You'd better remember once you find out, because the AI will do it predictably given the same player choices. The start of this mindfuck on the worst field in the game has my Slowbro looking at her Excadrill. That's moderately fine, but I want to set up Trick Room in order to see what I can do with it. What's good is that Slowbro, though getting hit by X-Scissor I think, survives in Trick Rooms, and then launches a Surf back and kills the mole. Next Terra will send out... Well, Slowbro can handle that. No, she can't. It's a Chansey. Yeah, special attacks will suck a lot against that, as it thunderbolts down Slowbro. I put out Camerupt next and Earthquake, as he is blasted with a Blizzard. It does a dicey amount for a 2-shot as Camerupt nearly dies, but he manages to KO on the following Earthquake. I should have left Camerupt since he was nearly dead, but Trick Room is still going, so I hope to use him again. But when I put in Mawile, I am met with Quagsire. I didn't notice right away, but this fucking bastard has another of those cursed seeds that removes its types. Wonderful, and I forgot. Mawile's moves all suck here. I decide to go for one Swords Dance, but then I see that Quagsire went for Amnesia. Oh, fuck that. In fact, as I stupidly try to hit with Sucker Punch, it does it twice more. So finally when it attacks me, my sucker punch hits, but it does little, and its scald does a lot. Wow, this thing is a problem. I put in Vanillux, then discover when freeze dry didn't destroy it that it has no types. Then I discover something else. The choice specs are still on Vanillux, so he's stuck on freeze dry, a lesser move than Blizzard right now. Then we encounter that same thing that Swagsire did the last time we fought Terra. After bringing it to red with another freeze dry, it recovers. Hey, I have taunt! Choice specs. Man, I hate this! Vanillux uselessly attacks a couple more times before I switch over to Camera Up for a sacrifice, then put in Houndoom for Destiny Bond to put an end to this. Quagsire isn't strong enough to kill Houndoom in one hit. That's shit. I end up sacking Vanillux too, and this time, Houndoom's Destiny Bond lands. That just gets me another Garchomp! Greninja takes it down by 3/4 with his water moves before he's taken down. This is outright mayhem. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just try again, forgetting important things like removing the choice specs and Mawile. This time though, instead of X-Scissor, Exakill used Swords Dance, and then Slowbro's Surf did not kill. Well, that's bullshit, but it died to its own life orb. The next Pokemon out is Quagsire, which my Camera Up hates to be in front of. Instead, I put Mawile out again, thinking this time I can Swords Dance more times. But this proves to be a pointless idea. The Quagsire is anti-Trick Rooming Mawile, who only puts up 2 Swords Dances and faints. Camera Up comes out to Earthquake, which does basically nothing, and gets one-shot. I delayed Destiny Bond on Houndoom this time and managed to double KO it. This brings Chansey back to the board, and I literally don't have the give a shit to try to fight this thing with no physical attacks left. Also, I literally didn't have my reset counter for 2 attempts. Okay, we fix one problem, which is having Mawile in the party for this. Instead, I dump her for Heracross, who can handle the Chansey better and maybe hurt Quagsire more. But fix one mistake, make another. Now I have no Mega Evolution ready. In the next attempt this time, Slowbro ranges down the Excadrill with great luck, and I immediately send Heracross out second into Chansey. Chansey is slower, and Trick Room's Heracross with Psychic to kill her. Yeah, that special defense acting as special attack is fun, isn't it? Next attempt, Slowbro Trick Rooms and kills with Surf but took damage this time. For Chansey, I put Camera Up in an Earthquake, but is not going to be a 2-hit. He gets frozen by Blizzard in the meantime, but thaws, hits a second time to not kill, then falls. With almost no HP left, I know that Slowbro will go first in Trick Room, and I have to hope that a boosted Psychic will kill. Ah! Then it uses Soft Boiled. Go away. At this point I realize something. Do I need to be using Slowbro against Excadrill? Can't Greninja go faster than it and hit it with a stronger Surf to one-shot? Yes, that is all true, but Trick Room or not, the next Pokemon out after Excadrill is still Chansey, who meets my Houndoom. That's not helpful. Can you just kill Houndoom then? No. Okay, yes. That's Chansey down to Destiny Bond, and now I'm nervous about speed, so I move the Slowbro to Trick Room. None too soon either, Garchomp's here. Slowbro does survive a Meteor Mash to Trick Room, do a little damage, and faint. Vanillux then goes out and hits the same damn dragon with Blizzard again. You never learn, do you? At this point, the only Pokemon I know about from Terra still is Quagsire. I'm thinking that'll be next, so I bring out Heracross to pummel it. Instead, it's Donphan, and it's time for the meanest, dirtiest trick in this fight. This was the only Pokemon I remembered for sure from the last time I fought Textless Terra, and I am prepared for it. Here's what Donphan does first as I switch to Camera Up. What the fuck? What move was that? It sucks, because Hail then took out my Camera Up for it, but that's whatever. Now Greninja comes in and uses Water Shuriken. Watch the Donphan's health bar carefully. Look at how fast it went down. You want to know what this Donphan should be called? Dawn Fear. Just like the Aeron in the desert that was level 1, This Dawnfan starts with Endeavor after you mash it with an attack that brings it to 1. That brings you to 1 HP. And worse, it has a Shell Bell. And at level 1, it will regain all of its HP so that it could use Sturdy again. Then it would end you with an Ice Shard. This thing is a cruel trick to players who will undoubtedly be so confused when both their own and Dawnfan's HP bars start going apeshit. Like the Aeron, a multi-hit move or hail, like I had both of, will shut this fucker down. But this is a shit show now. I have no Trick Room probably, and 2 left to beat. That's when Terra sends out her last unknown into my Heracross, Porygon Z. Heracross one-shots it with close combat. Holy shit, that may have been a big bullet dodge. That leaves only the Quagsire, who starts using Amnesia as Heracross pummels it more, bringing it down to red. But then, Terra full restores it. 2 more close combats puts it back in red as it recovers itself. But then I discover I ran out of close combats and I go for Megahorn. Only 1 hits before Heracross is knocked out, but I may have the chance to still kill it with Vanillux, until I realize then that he still has the choice specs. Holy fuck. I lost the fight by my own mistake. I do the move I know I have to, which is Taunt, which causes Quagsire to do nothing. Hail is chipping the blank type, but I have to switch into Greninja to finish it off. Quagsire's Skull does way too little to Vanillux to be killed anytime soon. Then Greninja goes out, and Terra heals again right as I go for Hydro Vortex. It brings it down a third as I agonizingly chip away with Surf, and 1 hit away from victory, she heals a 3rd time. I hate you, Terra. There's nothing I can do anymore. I slam my head against the damn mudfish, but this close to the finish line, it pushes me down. 3 fucking full restores. Now I give Vanillux a Life Orb instead. God, what a blunder to lose it like that. I sullenly start the next attempt, which has Greninja one-shot Excadrill and Heracross one-shot Chansey. That causes Terra to send out Porygon Z. Yeah, you remember how I killed it immediately, and we don't know what kind of horrible things it can do? Well, here it is. It does a Z move with Conversion to boost all of its stats plus change its type to Psychic. I didn't know that was the case at the time. This is a problem. After Slowbro almost does nothing and is shocked down by Thunderbolt, Heracross goes in. Trick Room lets her go first with close combat, which is too bad, as Megahorn would have killed since it became Psychic type. Instead, Heracross gets wasted by Psychic. Camerupt goes out in Earthquakes, and the fucker lives on 1 HP just to one-shot Camerupt back. Do you think Greninja will get to Water Shuriken it? Nope, Terra heals it. This is really getting on my nerves. Excadrill, Chansey, then Porygon Z again, which Heracross just stays for. She dies to 1 Psychic after being outsped. And then I won the fight! What? When? On the 13th attempt. But Oildrum, that was attempt 7. Yeah, about that. I cut recording after that loss, intending to start it again. I never did. I went through several more horrible losses as I pieced together the means to beat Terra. Finally, on attempt 13, I won. Then I looked and saw that I recorded none of it. Great. Time to do it again. Fortunately, what I eventually settled on would be very consistent. Missing all those attempts is best for the video length anyway. So now here we are on attempt 14. Excadrill is the same, but after this, Slowbro has been coming out to Trick Room in front of Chansey. I had to do this because of Porygon Z, but I can't use Heracross on Chansey anymore because it one-shots her with Psychic. Instead, I fixed another problem, and brought in Mega Camerupt. He can nullify the second Thunderbolt that had been killing Slowbro a few attempts ago, then kills the Chansey in 2 Earthquakes reliably, though this one looked really close. This would cause Quagsire to come in, popping its seed to have no types. I bring in Houndoom. Destiny Bond? No. I thought of something much more interesting. Do you think you could guess? what that normal move is? Did you guess Roar? Yeah, fuck off, you damn smiling asshole. Come back when you get some actual types. In this attempt, unlike the last one that dragged out Donphan, this one dragged out Porygon Z. You know what though? Let's just Roar again. It uses its Z move for stats and changing its types. Throw those away and give me Donphan. Now Donphan I figured out how to defeat reliably. There's no Hail, so I just switched right into Greninja, who gets Endeavored. Wait, doesn't that mean he'll just die to Ice Shard? He would, if he were actually at 1 HP. Instead, he's at Donphan's full HP, which is more than 1, and Ice Shard does only 1 damage to Greninja. Water Shuriken breaks through his sturdy to dismantle that trick. At this point, I don't know if I have Trick Room or who is coming, but I gamble on having Trick Room and it being Porygon Z. It was Porygon Z. I did not have Trick Room. Heracross faints. I then do a Regenerator sacrifice for Slowbro, losing Greninja as well. Now Slowbro comes back in Trick Rooms, while the dubious Pokemon can't Z-move again. I get to blast it with 2 Psychics, but Slowbro goes down, letting Megarupt finish it off. The last time I got here, I got Garchomp with no Trick Room, so I predict that it will be Quagsire instead. It is, but last time when I won off camera, Vanillix freeze-dried it easily since its types were back. This time though, it gets to use Amnesia first. And Vanillix still one-shots it! That leaves Vanillix, Garchomp, and a Trick Room. Do the math. Thank God this is over. Textless Terra is the wildcard fight in this tournament. It absolutely throws a wrench into everything you have planned, and it comes last. If you can't beat Terra's stupid tricks, then you risk having to restart the entire tournament. I don't know if you can escape if you didn't leave the gym room before Saphira like I showed, but if you can't, you'd better have a way to deal with Dawn Fear. No matter what, Textless Terra is going to feel scuffed. Never mind if you failed to record half the attempts. This is how Textless Terra ended for my last file. Man, it's like it and the Saphira fight traded places this time. You know what's crazier? Look at the levels of my Pokemon. Yeah, I bumped them all to 100 immediately after Saphira. I was done with level caps. Time to have max power. Then this fight taught me, levels aren't everything. A few moments after the battle ends, the building is fixed and our ears work again. Florenia thanks us for helping her, but then Terra begins speaking. Strangely speaking to the sky, and with perfect grammar. She wonders if this is what they really had in mind for her. Florenia affirms this, but Terra yells in her usual brain-melting voice that she isn't talking to Florenia. What she then says after this is very confusing, about how someone won't hear her, wondering if they are still laughing out there somewhere. She then says she hopes that, even in a tiny way, Terra made their game better. When I read this the first time, I thought this to be a funny fourth wall break that I would totally expect out of Terra. Now I know better. When Terra finishes speaking, her form suddenly flickers and then vanishes entirely. Florenia looks at the console and tells us that she chose to delete herself, and unlike us being physical beings, she was still in digital form. This deletion is permanent and cannot be undone. In the end, this tournament claimed a life, even if it was one that was against us. Florenia tells us that she now has created a pathway to exit this building. We can escape, while she remains to free all of the others who were fake deleted. She goes on to say that there's only one place left for Team Meteor to run. North of Labradora, into Victory Road. She bids us farewell, and wishes us good luck. The Labradora Tournament of Booty is finished, and we step outside of Labradora to the north. Our ultimate goal to reach the Reborn League is upon us, as we must now navigate the final test before reaching Mount Charis, traversing Victory Road. Entwined with that goal is our impending battle with the last remnants of Team Meteor's admin, their most powerful trainers, and of course, a showdown that everyone has been waiting for.